Start with the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before I do what I normally do here, I want to make an announcement that I think WMPI had some misquoted information on TV or on the radio today, saying that there was going to be talk of the transfer station tonight. I can attest that that's not going to happen. I actually made a phone call to the radio station and told them, asked them where they got their information, and the guy acted like he didn't know anything. So I asked him if he would to say that it wasn't going to happen, and I don't think that happened either. So anyway, we will not be addressing the transfer station tonight, but now we're past that. I'll open it up to anybody.
When will it be discussed?
I didn't hear what you said.
When will it be discussed?
When we have more information that we're reaching out to different companies and stuff, then we will discuss it in a meeting, and it will be well advertised for that meeting. Like people on Facebook today was calling me a liar and everything else, saying that we're hiding the truth and hiding all sorts of information. I'm gonna be honest here. I don't like that kind of talk because we're very open here. We're not trying to hide a dang thing for anybody, and if somebody wants to start calling names and stuff, then they need to back up what they're talking about.
All your county records are public knowledge anyway, and we can get copies of all of them.
Who are you, sir?
I am Terry Oaken.
Okay, all right.
And I will grab those records.
What?
Because we're gonna audit what has been, what is taken in versus the poundage that you use.
Well, that's good.
Out. And
I appreciate you doing that, because
I think that it's total mismanagement.
Well, it could be. Were you at the last meeting we had at the school?
And they said mismanagement there. I heard all about it.
And that's what, we're not denying that. We're not denying that whatsoever. So
you're saying elected officials, you mismanage the station,
No, wait
so you're gonna shut it down
will you
based on your
stop,
Sir, if you
lower your
we will
voice.
have the sheriff's office
You couldn't hear
remove
me a
you.
while ago, so I raised
We
it.
will
No,
have
you
the sheriff's
didn't.
office remove you. This is a public meeting.
Okay.
You're allowed to participate and observe. Okay? There is no right to public comment in the state of Indiana. Do you understand? You can observe, you can record, but we're not gonna have a back and forth discussion right now where you're yelling across at people.
I'm not, that wasn't.
Yes, you were. Yes, you
I'm
were.
sorry.
Do you understand? Okay.
But what you're asking for, and you're once again, you're almost like the guy on Facebook today that you're just throwing out, stuff and seeing if it hits the wall. Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, whatever's going on at the transfer station will be public record. If there's mismanagement at the landfill, it will be brought out. So there's nothing gonna be hid here
If you want
under
to
the
make a
table.
public records request, you can do so by going to the auditor's office. We have
I
forms
thought that
of,
was very short notice anyway, I didn't, I wondered why it was such a short notice.
well, and we had a public hearing at the,
And he was, I think you were there. I thought
we had a public hearing, when was that? Was that last week?
December the 8th,
December 8th, we had a public hearing at
the school boardroom, school district 2 boardroom.
the
on
school
the
district
20th.
2 boardroom, properly noticed. We had a number of attendees that were there, packed a room. Everybody got to ask questions. The commissioners answered questions, discussed potential avenues to fix some of the problems that were out there. And if you would like to file a public records request for something specific, just outline what specifically you want to request, submit that to the auditor's office, and if we can provide it, we will.
Okay.
I want to make a statement real quick. Every meeting we have has to be advertised. Every one of them are recorded on TV, on YouTube. We cannot legally hide anything. Honestly. So where that came from, I'm sorry you got that information.
All right, anybody else got anything that's not on the agenda? Mike Chesser.
On a more positive note, I just wanted to thank John Lisenby for his service to the community, his support of our organization as a whole. Wish you well.
Thank you.
And also wanted to be here today to wish everybody Merry Christmas and look forward to working with the new board, new commission here at the start of the new year.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Thank you, sir.
I will let
And
you
again, we've heard a lot of good comments on the lights, so I appreciate your hard work there and.
We've had a few electrical issues that we've had to deal with, a lot of GFIs and a little rainier than normal December that,
Oh, yeah.
so we've been driving by in the morning and, you know, resetting a lot of GFIs, and we were in early this week. I think we've got one in particular that we're just gonna have to replace next year. The nice thing is it's under warranty, so we'll get it for free.
Okay.
But that's the reindeer and Granny out there. Granny seems to be running faster than she
Well,
should.
the reindeer, one night they were doing this, but two-stepping, I think.
Yeah.
But, I will say this, I've been around the square many a time since they've been on, and I've seen a lot of out-of-state, or not out-of-state, out-of-county vehicles
Great.
making that turn and going around the square,
I'm
so.
glad to hear that.
But again, I
That's why
appreciate
we're
it,
doing
so,
It looks nice.
thank you,
We'll
appreciate
continue to
it.
add to it. Thank you all.
All right,
Merry
thanks, Mike.
Christmas.
Yep, you too.
Have a Merry Christmas.
Anybody else got anything that's not on the agenda? All right, starting in the agenda, the 2023 insurance renewal with Buchanan Insurance. Richie?
Hello, everybody. Got a little packet here. Okay. So, what we have here on the beginning is basically a summary. It's a 4-page summary of the various policies we have. Overall, there's no major changes in the coverage. There's inflationary changes when it comes to the coverage amounts. And if you look at this first line, is on the Liberty Mutual package, the buildings and personal property. Those, we did about a 5% inflationary increase on the properties to keep up with the cost of reconstruction. And then on the inland marine, that was adjusted based on the schedule. And then going through the various lines there, those are all the standard coverages with no changes. Continuing on. Liability, obviously all still the same amounts. And then so the vehicles, obviously those were adjusted, the schedule of items, and let's see.
You said on the vehicles, are you saying that I know we're under a blanket policy, but there's a number of how many vehicles we can be on that blanket? Were we over that again?
Well, there's not it's basically updated each year. So there's not a cap to what is allowed. And so, the schedules are attached. So we have the property schedule in the back and the auto schedule in the back. And so each year, when we come along this time, we update to what the vehicles are. And sometimes, I think last year even, there were some last minute changes. So what we'll do is.
Yeah, because we found that we were insuring
Yeah.
some stuff that shouldn't have been insured,
Yeah.
so.
And so, at that point of 1/1, whenever that final assessment is done, I think we're to that point now, unless we purchase a new vehicle or, you notice something on the list that does need to be taken off. Those have been scrubbed, but again, like I said, if something changes, we'll have a set amount. And then that will be the set price for the autos. And then it's a fleet policy, so at that point, adjustments can be made throughout the year, and we'll just do an audit at the end of the year, next year, and then that'll be set for the new price. So if you add vehicles this year, if your net is an increase or if your net is a decrease, the price doesn't change. But then it is reassessed and audited at this time, and then we set that price again.
Okay.
Now, obviously, property and your equipment, things like that, that will cause adjustments.
So,
as we go on.
So on 1/1, can we get an updated, I guess, inventory of what it's in here?
It's in there. That's what we have set at this point.
Okay, all right, I didn't look far enough.
Yes.
All right, okay, that's what I wanna know, cause a lot of times, we were insuring vehicles that were so old that
Yeah,
it was,
I think last year or even the year before,
and then we were
made some
insuring
adjustments.
some trailers that, you know, we
Weren't
could have bought
necessary.
them new, so,
Yes.
anyway, all right.
Yeah. Obviously, if you, like I said, those have been scrubbed, but if you find any adjustments,
Okay.
please let us know.
You ought to introduce us to your employer.
Sure thing. So Tanner Craig started with us back in October, and he's been going through training. He's going to actually a producer school here in January, new sales producer school in January, and be hitting the road hard and kicking us off. So we're excited to have him.
So
And
does he carry a big stick?
he's going to carry a big stick. In fact, I told him a little while ago, I said that, you know, I got a call a little while ago, I might have an emergency where I might step out and you'll have to take over the meeting.
Ooh.
So, yeah,
Rough on the guy, yeah.
he said he would do it, right? Isn't that what you said?
Something like that.
I guess my little comment was about his college baseball.
Oh, it's true, yes,
About his college baseball
That's
career.
true.
He can swing a bat,
yeah,
so.
yeah, he's gonna,
Good to see you in back and home. A lot of times people don't come home.
It's good to be back, I'm excited for it.
it is, we're excited to have him.
Congratulations.
So that's, as far as on the Liberty Mutual package, your property, your liability, obviously all your liability lines, your umbrella, is on this first page. That involves all those schedules I mentioned. If you, any questions on the basic package of coverage?
And you said that probably went up 5%, you're saying?
So the property values went up 5%. Everything as a whole in this package we have went up about 4% in premium cost. Various lines, various coverages went up differently. The Liberty Mutual package went up a little bit more, the work comp went down. Some of the other smaller policies stayed the same, and one of them went down. The net overall change in total premiums is about 4% increase.
Okay.
The next page is your cyber liability. All the coverage items on that policy have remained the same, with a small little increase on the cyber premium.
Explain that, will you? What do you mean by cyber coverage?
Cyber is becoming a catch-all for many things. From simple, someone hacks your computer, steals your information, somebody
Hold us hostage.
holds you hostage,
Yeah.
yes, ransom. It can include bank fraud, like wire fraud. Someone can actually, it happens where someone convinces an employee to transfer money, and it could be a fraudulent invoice. And so various types of those situations can be picked up in your cyber policy.
Protects the county.
Oh, absolutely, yes, yeah, because you can have your first party loss, whereas like loss of funds, you can also have a liability to where if an employee passes on some kind of virus to someone else and it shuts down another computer or another company, or causes a problem there, so you can be sued based on that, and they'll pick up your coverages. Email is the most likely cause of any kind of penetration into your system, so being cautious on that. It's never too cautious on an email if you're not sure on when you're opening up an attachment like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that coverage is through travelers. And then your work comp policy is through IPEP, which is the most commonly one used amongst municipalities for their workers' compensation. On there, you can see it's broken down it's based off of payroll. And you see the department's various payrolls there, we have listed out. This has a certain rate attached to it, but then you also have your experience modification, and we've talked about this in the past. Experience modification is set by the state. It's based off of your claims, your past 5 years claims history. And so that percentage is applied to your policy no matter what company you're with. Your current experience modification is 1.48, which is based off of higher claims history. It is improved though. it was 1.67, so this is an improvement. And if you look at the loss ratio history we've got there on the left side in the middle box, you can see that the worst year is that 5th year, and we're trending fairly well for this year. So we should see a significant improvement on that experience modification, which will directly impact your premiums.
Now, I see these estimated payroll over on the right. Is that?
Yes.
That's what their estimated payroll is now?
Yes.
I don't, okay, just simple again, I don't understand. The volunteers, 20.
So that's a head count, basically.
It's not a,
It's just a
number,
unit
not a
of,
value.
no,
Okay.
it's just something they use to default into there
Okay.
to
All right.
account for that.
Okay.
Yeah, and the rest of them is based off of the true payroll using the
Okay.
last audit numbers.
Okay.
Richie, when the 99% goes away, that should really
It-
impact that budget for 24,
Significantly,
correct?
yes, we should see a huge improvement on that.
Well, because then everything else, all the factors that we're seeing here, that's really good.
Yes,
That will be though.
and we've already seen a benefit this year, so having that drop.
Should be probably the most significant change should be next.
Yeah, it's a complicated formula, but yes, I mean, as you see the other numbers, that 99 is providing the biggest impact. That
Mhm.
falls off, I would expect a huge improvement.
And it has an influence for about 4 years then, because it's
Yeah.
in that 5-year cycle, so it's
Right.
gonna
Yeah.
cause that factor to
And
be.
we're trending well this year, so. So, and that's a credit to the department heads, I mean, keeping
Yes.
things
And
under.
that number 20, the number we set, I think, this board did, I think, isn't it?
On
The
the
amount,
volunteers.
the amount of volunteers.
Oh, it's just an arbitrary number. It's just in there, it's kind of holding the place, I think. I don't think it really,
Okay.
it's not tied to anything you've done. I think it's
Well, I knew
just,
somewhere along the line we set a number, and I thought
you're talking about
25, that's
reserves?
where you got it.
No,
Yeah.
we said it.
no, the police
Oh.
reserves are a different category, John.
We have
Well, they're both there, that's why I'm asking
Yeah.
about.
No, well, the police reserves are separate from volunteers. The police
Okay.
reserves are handled in a different way because they have a different type of insurance that we have to provide.
Well, I know, I'm just, the number is 20, and I thought we set it at 25, but I'm not sure.
Actually, I thought it was 35, cause it
I
was,
think it'd been that way one time.
yeah, so,
Yeah,
I was just trying to
think the max
clarify
is
what that
35.
meant.
I don't
so
think we're at
No.
that peak.
I don't
So
either.
did you base that number off the current roster that you have of the police reserves?
It's more what it's kind of just the number they've had in there, just as a holding place. There's
But it
very
doesn't
little,
hold a value though, does it?
no, not really. It's such a minimal as far as impact to the whole policy. Those line items, I don't have the premium breakdowns for each one, but it's.
Well, it wasn't a
it's
criticism,
such
I just wanted to
Yeah,
understand what they were, and I thought we had set those numbers, and I know we had, matter of fact.
So the police, the next policy we talk about, and that may be where you're getting that idea, is because that is based more off of the true roster list that we have, and keep a running list on that.
Okay.
Because, so when it comes to workers' compensation and covering, for example, the sheriff's reserves, they're on a medical only coverage because the reserves are unpaid. So there's no salary, no indemnification for compensation. So they'll get picked up on the workers' compensation for the medical. And then they're working, most of them are working on a job somewhere else, some other type of employment. So there'd be nothing if they were injured in the line of duty to make up for that loss of their income because they're no longer can work. So this is a policy, the reserve officer policy down the bottom of this page, and it actually was put into legislation that was required back in 2018 that all municipalities have to cover that then. But it's a minimal coverage, and it's by no means does it say that's gonna suffice for them. But, we have no way of knowing what their salaries are and compensating for that properly. So there's a flat amount, it's up to $290 a week that benefit would kick in. There's other benefits on there too, so like a specific amount for loss of limbs, a specific amount for loss of life, loss of vision, things like that. There's just line items, additional payments that go out on top of what they would get, on their medical bills paid for on the workers' compensation policy. But it is something there for them.
And John, to go back to what you said, there is an ordinance that was adopted at the county that sets the amount of, number of sheriff's reserves that the sheriff is allowed to have up to. And I do believe that number is 35, but I think it was, but I'm not for sure. I have to go back and look, but
I may be wrong, I thought we reduced that, but whatever it is.
I'm not for sure, but I think it was years ago.
Okay, well,
So you think maybe it was
I
addressed
thought
since
we,
then?
I thought we addressed it and
we
reduced
can
it,
check
but
that out.
whatever it is, it is.
We can check.
Yeah, okay.
Well,
Okay.
It may be for a while, I thought we reduced it down about 10.
I was thinking it might be.
And then
For
this
some
last
reason, I think they
page
left it alone.
deals strictly with the EMS school. So Liberty doesn't provide the liability and the proper professional coverage for that exposure. And so we have a policy that picks up the educator's legal liability. So their professional liability as an educator, should they do something incorrectly. And then we also have the general liability of the school itself, and then the professional liability from that school. So the students involved in that school are going out in the field and conducting services to the people in need. And so for them to have their proper coverage too, it comes from this policy. And so these two policies combined cover all those three areas within that school. Is there update on, I know there's been talk of what, going forward and continue with that,
They-
not continue with that? Is
They
there?
have a class currently running.
Okay,
Yes, so
okay,
they suspended, the class
right,
during
COVID,
that period of time.
yeah, we're full blown out there with the
okay,
school.
okay, good.
Yeah, we're keeping it. We get somebody to run it.
Give you guys number.
I've got a couple. Go ahead, sorry.
Okay, now that's the end of the summary there for all the coverage and all the policies.
All right, well, I guess as far as, I'm gonna ask just a generalized question. I mean, as far as property damage or anything, did we have a lot of claims?
The claims overall fared fairly well. I don't have the claims list in front of me, so I can't speak to the exact amount. But yes, I mean, it's gone well.
So I guess by this one figure here, you've got, and I'm on the page again. Where in 2017, we were 99% loss ratio.
On the work comp.
Yeah, I guess that's the work comp I'm talking about. I wanna talk about cars. So you're talking about on the cars side, are we up or down on crashes and claims against the county? Or would you know that
I
offhand?
don't know that off the top of my head.
Can you send me an email?
Yes,
so
I mean, if we can
share
run
it?
we can do the claims list.
I just like to know if
Print
we're
that
up
off.
or down, or, cause, I just like to know when county property is involved,
Mhm.
or we have claims against us, and sometimes we don't know that, so.
Yeah, there's been some minor accidents, and I can't recall anything major
Oh, I know
at the
there's-
moment, and there's always gonna be something.
Yeah.
But, I mean, from an overall perspective, it's fared fairly well, but let me make a note of that.
Yeah, if you just give us some sort of information, so I know if we're trending in the right way, or we need to do some additional training, or follow up, or
Yeah,
find out what we're doing, that we need to figure out why we're hitting things, or
Yeah.
somebody's hitting us.
Yeah, and the biggest issue over the past has been the work comp. And and we hit on that, I mean, and the numbers show that has turned around.
Well, all that was EMS, and now that we've spent some money out there doing some automatic lifts, I think that's kind of went away,
Yeah.
so they dropped that off, so.
Yeah, that's been a huge improvement. That's great to see, and that's good. It's gonna pay off in dividends.
Okay, good,
So I'll run that off and we'll get that sent to you.
all right.
How many years have you got our insurance policy?
So we picked it up in 2018. We did, what year was it, 2018 maybe?
That don't sound right.
Well, we had, East Lucan's had it for a few years.
You were here when I came in 19.
Okay, well, maybe it was then, because I remember Jason, Kowski, you,
East Lucan, and somebody submitted out of
yeah,
Indianapolis
there
for
were
submission.
4 players.
Yeah,
And actually how we did that, because all of you, you know, a lot of insurance brokers, I guess I'm gonna use the term, deal with the same company, so we kinda, you know, you
Right.
picked your 2 favorite, they
Yeah.
picked their 2 favorite, and we
yeah.
let you bid that away, so.
Well, the one reason I know I can say 2018 is because we were the ones that initiated the reserve plan, at 2018.
Probably cyber too,
So, yeah,
'cause that was big then.
yeah.
Okay, so 2018 is when you started, or roughly?
Some,
I think that's about right.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you need from us tonight?
Actually, just a signature on the statement of values for the property.
Speaking of that, did we ever get that report from that company that was gonna do our,
Fixed asset, he was on site, I wanna say a week ago Monday, and they had actually a couple of principals in their company pass away within his father and his mother within days of each other, so that kind of threw their family situation into something.
Which one was that?
TM Wells Valuation Services, and, that gentleman who passed was the principal of that company, and he had done our services several years ago, and then we had upped with them, and paid for it through redevelopment to get our fixed asset list. And then they had that death situation with both the parents within just a few days of each other, earlier in the year, and so now they're back out, and he paid us on-site visit, so it should be, he's got a few questions, he's gonna be contacting some department heads, and then they're gonna be giving us some reports.
Okay.
So you'll wanna,
I talked to him
We'll wanna
last
see
week,
that.
I was in there and he
Okay,
was
because y'all
trying to
will
figure
wanna
out who to get a
communicate
hold
with
of,
you,
and I just hooked him up
regarding
with
that,
Kevin
because that
and
should help
different
with some of the up-to-date.
well, what they're doing is they're guaranteeing the values of the property and the buildings, and so we want to correspond with that and
Yeah.
match that
Yeah, that's
up.
what I'm gonna say,
Yeah.
'cause we may get a fluctuation there.
Yeah, and because they guarantee it, so by using their number, you're protected by their guarantee.
And State Board of Accounts, they're concerned, which is amazing to me, because we're not on the GAAP accounting yet. Or they're going to that in some of the counties, and eventually I think we're gonna end up there, and that's gonna create the annual financial report into something much different than what it is right now. But, with that type of accounting process, we're a small enough county right now, we're not required to report that way. So now with the fixed asset reporting, the State Board of Accounts just is curious about what it cost when you bought it. And we have a kind of high threshold in our ordinance, our fixed asset is 15,000. Most counties operate on a 5,000. So evidently in the day, they didn't wanna report a whole lot. Basically, they have to be responsible State Board of Accounts, that's the only thing I can think of, is setting it at 15,000. So even some of the cars that we have wouldn't even make the schedule, that the State Board of Accounts is, but there's difference between State Board of Accounts, fixed asset reporting and inventory.
Right.
And so you guys are more interested in inventory to a certain extent, because obviously things that are worth $500 or more is our internal control ordinance. And if we have a loss of that, that's supposed to be reported to the State Board of Accounts. Anything under that, we're supposed to try to deal with it internally and make a report in-house on that. But if the loss is over $500 that we think could be due to some, unscrupulous act, I'll call it, we need to report that State Board of Accounts. So there's a lot of inner working parts to that, but we do have, an inventory interest, because we might wanna say items over $500, have an inventory list and let each department update that every year and report to the auditor so we can keep it in a binder. And then, once we get this total fixed asset report that will satisfy State Board of Accounts, then that's obviously another level to this inventory. This is what has to be reported to the state, so. Does that make sense? I know I just kind of put it all together, but.
Yeah, we just want to make sure we have the right values for those buildings,
And
and
that's
then
what-
obviously the contents, but especially the two majors, the courthouse and the jail, because they typically provide the guarantee that this is the replacement cost.
And the renovation of the courthouse in 1873, probably requires some
remember that.
digging, and you don't, John, what was that, do you remember?
John dug the foot of the.
He helped.
They tried to put me under.
But, no, those are things that they, State Board of Accounts actually wants to know what the initial purchase price was, and that's what they, then when we get to this point where it's gap accounting, then we're gonna be interested in, yeah, current values.
So are you asking for renewal tonight? That's what's on our agenda.
Yes, this is the renewal, and, we just need to get the signature on the values of the buildings that we have currently. And then, as we're just stating, that we'll cross-reference that when that report is done and make adjustments as necessary.
What are we paid up to? When,
Your policy expires 1/1.
1/1?
I don't need anything else.
Guess I'll entertain a motion to sign the 2023 insurance coverage for the county for property and liability with Buchanan Insurance Company.
I'll make that motion pass for Buchanan Insurance.
John makes a motion to accept the 2023 insurance coverage for the county. Randy?
I won't vote.
Okay, so is that a no?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess I'll call for a vote then. John, how do you vote?
I vote.
You wanna vote, you'll have to second.
I'll second the motion, John's motion then.
My motion is, yes,
No, you just need to vote yes or no.
yes.
So, John votes yes, Randy?
I vote no.
Randy votes no, and I'll vote yes, so, I guess, what you got to sign?
That's right.
Need all of us or just Mike?
No, just one.
Okay.
Today, 21st.
21st.
There you go.
So, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Tam.
Appreciate it. Good to see you guys.
I have a question while he's here, since I pay my own insurance. On our vehicles and ambulances, is it new replacement cost or is it actual replacement cost?
It's agreed value on the ambulances. So we set a specific amount for what it is.
So now we're locked in?
And then that,
Huh?
So now we're locked in, we get insurance?
so which will be
I can't
every year.
We're locked in with them for the next
It's a year-to-year contract with
It's a
any
set
insurance
amount.
company.
Which
Oh,
typically
yes, we're
purchase
locked in,
price,
so we
everything, all the
you can bid it.
equipment, we need
You
that
can
full
bid for the
value.
next year, but you have to do that
My
in
question is ambulances.
May or June,
Last year.
so that all the players can get together and figure out what everybody else's plan is. And then they can submit it somewhere in the September area, and then you can either pick another insurance company or
So,
keep
I need a little
it.
something more than that, but let's get together.
We ask questions.
Yeah.
While
Like that,
I understand your concern.
We can get the value necessary. It would have to be updated and changed. Yes.
I'll give it to you.
Okay.
Thanks.
We'll also miss your two employees that just retired.
Yes.
Good people. I went over there, I don't know how many times, and they was always helpful.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody, Merry Christmas.
Well, they said they weren't gonna work with Tanner, I don't know what.
You ran them off.
If you're gonna
Well,
hire him, we're leaving.
I meant in the past it went pretty good. I was
You got
just-
to do twice the work.
There you go, take care, guys. All right, what do you need?
I hope you guys have so welcoming.
Nobody
You guys
comes here unless they want something.
I do want something actually, yes. Hopefully you guys have a letter in your packet. Do they have their letter?
This one?
Yes, that one. So I will just quickly summarize this. So you got opioid settlement money in. And basically, obviously, in my opinion, when you think of Scott County and the opioid epidemic, you think of the HIV outbreak and all the issues that stem from that with the use of Opana. And since I started here 6 years ago, we've slowly been increasing our revenue. I've been, trying to be smart about taking things from grants and different things like that and not spending our county tax-based money, which is our 1159 budget. So we've kind of created a nice little nest egg with that. And so every year when I submit my budget to the council and for state board, I kind of put my wish list in there, which is my salary, a full-time public health nurse, number 2, and just everything. And so this year, for the first time ever, State Board of Accounts approved that. I think for two reasons. One, because we do have that nice little nest egg that's been built up of underspending our budget for the last few years. And then 2, my revenue unfortunately looks a little bit inflated, because since Nick and I share the tax ID for the county, sometimes I get some of Nick's nice payments. So like, it's a pain for both of us, more so me, I think, than you, but, so I basically deposit that money and it looks like revenue, but then it just automatically goes back out. So, to Nick, yes. And so, State Board of Accounts approved my 1159 budget, which is my tax-based budget, basically for $150,000 more starting in 2023. I think that's really ambitious. I don't want to say I can't do that, because I'm not one to say I can't. But I think that's really ambitious to just go from basically $343,000 to almost $500,000 in 1 year. So what I'm asking you guys to consider is possibly taking my salary out of my 1159 budget for 2023 and pay that from the restricted funds of the opioid settlement, just for 1 year, not a long-term thing. I think that's going to be a nice stepping stone, that if take my salary out, and if the 1159 budget can withhold the extra spending, with hopefully the revenue issues being worked out eventually, then 2024, revisiting this. And obviously 2024, we're getting a lot less money, so it's not a long-term plan, it's just.
So your proposal is for us to take $60,325 out of the
restricted
opioid settlement.
And I sent this to Zach, and I think that italicized, that leadership, planning, and coordination part, it would fit under there, in my opinion, but.
The Attorney General supplied basically a list of qualified, approved abatement uses. One of them that is listed is in Part 3 on page E13, and this was sent out on March 30th of 2022. The one thing that I don't necessarily know, it does discuss leadership, planning, and coordination, which is the subsection you referenced in the letter. The one that I think, maybe there's 2 parts. So invest in infrastructure or staffing in government or not-for-profit agencies to support collaborative cross-system coordination with the purpose of preventing overprescribing, opioid misuse, opioid overdoses, treating those with OUD and any co-occurring conditions, supporting them in treatment and recovery, connecting them to care, implementing other strategies to abate the opioid epidemic described in this opioid abatement strategy list. I guess my question is more so in the line of, I don't know whether or not we're supposed to be using that money to add rather than supplement already existing resources, the way that's worded.
That doesn't clearly say.
Like, it uses the term like invest in, so and when you look at the other subsection that might be there, it's support statewide, regional, local, or community planning to identify root causes of addiction overdose, goals related to the opioid, goals for reducing harms related to opioid epidemic, and areas and populations with the greatest need for treatment intervention services, support training and technical assistance, and other strategies to abate opioid epidemic. So for that, again, I still think it seems to indicate that you can use it for like a program that you want to create that would assist in those things. I don't know that it specifically says that you
Yeah.
can.
So I think my thinking was that like local health departments are the only ones that have access to the Essence system, which is a state system that identifies spikes in overdoses or, you know, when that happens in the ERs and that things. And then like, you know,
And
serving on the,
I totally understand that
Yeah.
part. My point is,
I get what you're saying.
your job encompasses much more than just
right.
opioid abatement,
Mhm.
right? So the use of the funds to supplement that issue alone,
Yeah.
I think.
Right, but I think an argument could also be made that because of the HIV outbreak, like the position of the administrator was taken from part-time to full-time, and I think the commissioners or the general fund, I can't remember, you'd have to refresh my memory on how the history of that, actually it was grant funded for a little bit, but,
And that may be true, and it may be that you could do like a portion.
right.
Rather
I'm
than,
not like wanting an answer tonight, I'm just saying
okay,
like,
just to talk about.
yeah, like a lot of people, well, there's already been people that have come and asked for this money, so like,
I think we've
I
already
think-
received like requests for the entirety of the.
right, so
To the penny.
like I said, I feel like when you look at Scott County and you think of the opioid epidemic, I think a lot of that obviously comes back to the HIV outbreak in the health department and everything that our department had to do during that time. So again, you guys don't have to answer tonight. I think that's important for you guys to know anyways about my budget. Because what I think will happen is if nothing is done with my budget and it just is what it is, I think this year will probably be fine and we'll make it through with those huge increases, with additional appropriations, but then 2024, we're looking, I think, at moving things out of that 1159 budget and trying to find things in like general fund or commissioner's budget to like supplement that back up. But that's just my
So let me
thoughts.
get this straight. Your budget for 22 was 343, 600, I'm gonna say,
Yes,
round it off.
yeah.
And for 2023, it was
They've approved,
492, 500. You're saying this, your budget's doesn't go through our stuff?
yes,
So the council approved an increase of
Yes.
148,000, but
and State Board of Accounts said, we agree with that.
okay, so everything's fine.
Because
Yes.
State Board of Accounts saw that you had
A big
sufficient
nest egg.
revenue to
Yes, and
justify.
sufficient revenue.
Yeah.
I
Under
guess
their
my
tax
question is, how come
efficiency.
you get a nest egg?
Because I've underspent my budget, and so my
So wouldn't
1159
they go
is,
back to the general
no,
fund?
I'm a tax base.
Okay, all right,
Yes.
that's
She's a
the,
separate rate.
that's the key word.
Yeah, she's not part of general, she's in a
Okay.
different tax
Yes.
rate.
Okay.
So I thought I was doing good by building this little nest
You
egg
are,
up.
cause then they see you don't need it.
Well, and now they want me to, you know what I mean? So then now it's like, spend it all, and so at the end of 2023, I feel like my nest egg is gonna be 0 or very low,
Yeah.
and so then 24 budgets, the state board isn't gonna approve this 492 again.
Well, we're not gonna make a decision tonight, but I'll give my thought here, is that if somebody's gonna get, any money from the restricted funds for opioid, I think it would have to be, and if you're coming from the health department, I think it would go to the health department. Because, you know, of all the struggles during all that, it came from your department, so,
Thank you.
so, if it's legal to do it,
For me, I just wanna be able to see some type of justification
Yeah.
on your end for like
Okay.
percentage of hours, like potentially worked, right?
Okay.
Within that, I don't know, cause it's salaried, I
So
mean,
you
there's a way to
basically-
do that.
Your time allocation,
Mhm.
so
Right,
if
and
you
then-
spend 20% of your week or 50% of your week addressing things that's related to this
Yes.
issue, then half
Okay.
of your salary could be pulled from that possibly for.
Yeah, cause I just wanna be able to, when the question gets asked, when the restricted funds are audited about its use, that we can justify, which I think you can.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I don't know if 100%.
Sure.
so do you think, you said it, you didn't think it'd be long-term, so you're talking about it, you think you could pad your nest egg again for,
So,
2024.
remember last meeting when I talked about the Public Health Commission with the governor and the legislation?
They're talking about changing the way
they fund the county?
Yeah.
they work to fund
Yeah, I read some of that. They were talking about an increase in all healthcare across the state of Indiana.
Yeah, so like our share would basically go from like 55 to about 780,000. So that's like an
And I wanna be
idea, but
clear, like, I'm not saying, these are just like qualified uses that they
Right.
put out on the front end. It's not saying that these are the only, potential abatement uses.
right.
So, I don't know, I highly doubt that they would issue like an opinion letter or something on that, but if they did, like, that would,
Right.
right?
And like, I didn't know if you guys were doing consultants like you are for like ARPA money, or if it's just kind of
We
what
have
you're,
discussed
We
that.
have Baker Tilly.
There's our
Yeah,
consultant
but
down there.
Baker Tilly wouldn't necessarily give an opinion as to this issue, but.
Sure.
Do you know if any other
We
health
discussed that.
departments are doing what you're asking?
I don't know that. Because I don't know,
And why I'm asking that is maybe they've got that question answered by somebody
yeah.
higher up that,
And again, like, quite frankly, unless your county has a syringe service program, they're probably not really looking at opioids because it's probably in their mind a bigger bear to deal with. That's kind of my assessment, I feel like, when I talk to local health departments. So, but I can try to ask around, that's no problem. I can send out an email to my group.
it's just kinda curious if somebody else is gonna utilize some of that money the same way you're talking about, so,
Yeah,
uh,
I can try to find out.
so, what else?
Yeah, just
I'd
that,
like to say real quick,
yeah,
you know, I know we had to, they came and asked for almost all of it, Thrive did and
yeah,
the other groups. And I'm gonna just kind of piggyback off on what Mike said. You know, a lot of departments of Scott County has suffered from this, you know, like the EMS group. So, in my opinion, I will not be voting to give them the whole
yeah,
thing.
Yeah.
It's gonna go, if I have anything to say in it, or if, you know, they agree with me,
yeah.
it's mostly gonna go to our departments.
Yeah, and not to say anything bad against any of those. I mean, I serve on the partnership board, which is oversees Thrive, like, and the partnership does amazing programs. So not to say anything bad about that, but, you know, I have to take care of my people.
You want
and,
your money.
yeah, so, no, that what they have, their plans for that money would be great spent, and I think our community would benefit from that too. But, yeah, of course, I'm gonna advocate for, you know, my job, my department first, so.
Right,
Yeah.
you know, when our
But thank
ambulances
you.
are driving up and down the road and
Yeah,
using fuel, wearing them out,
sure,
so, and our coroner's office also suffered. So,
definitely. They were busy.
Yeah.
So, okay, yeah, I just wanted to, like I said, I know it'd already been asked and talked about, so I just wanted to like throw my name in the hat, I guess, so. But I'll work on those figures, ask those questions, keep you guys updated, so.
All right,
Thank you guys.
Michelle.
appreciate it.
Being good working with you.
Is yours a want? You know, I know Christmas is on Saturday or Sunday,
Yeah, I can see Sunday, so I'm gonna ask tonight.
oh, or is it no, no, no?
That's usually the answer.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
Right.
First off, Randy, from what we talked about the other day, I think yours is the third to back page that you requested.
okay.
If you wanna look at that real quick. That.
What I wanna hear is year-to-date or year-to-date this year compared to year-to-date last year.
Year to date last year. Stand by.
So on all your labor, and repairs this year, you spent $6,233.84 in labor line.
Yes, sir. That is since, I think February.
Since February.
Yes, sir.
Merry Christmas.
Last year, 2021, year to date was $1,372,667. Year-to-date this year is $1,513,703.
Good deal.
So,
Going in the right direction.
trying.
Go ahead, Alan.
You're good. This month we're at 75,000. We've still got 2 deposits left. We've got one Friday and then we'll have one on the 31st. So my goal, when I came here, like I said, we in 2021, they finished at 1.4, a little over 1.4 million. My goal was to hit 1.6. Right now we're at 1.513. I don't know that we'll hit my goal, but we'll get close. So it was a pretty stretched goal to get back to that in under a year, but
I get that,
somehow
and I appreciate that.
we managed to get $750,000 wiped out of lit in a year though, so that was good.
I just,
Supposed to get real nasty the next couple of days, so if you guys want to put on some car washes or something, bump that up.
Yeah, we've spent about 6 hours today getting ready for that. We're taking all of our newer frontline trucks and putting them out back, and we're putting that 2016 in service and the one with hot
Wear it
miles in
out.
service.
Yeah.
And that way, if we do wreck something, it's not a good thing. I mean, not that we want to
The
wreck
old-
anything,
it's the
not that
old
we
beat
plan
up
to,
one.
yeah.
so what did we find out about the drive shaft?
So, that got sent to All-Star. The carrier bearing was replaced. I guess they rebalanced the shaft. I don't know that there was so much bent as it was out of balance from stuff. It's back up and running. There is still a vibration, but it's nowhere near what it was. It passed spec for that, so it's back in service.
Pass back for
tolerances or
on the
drive shaft, yeah.
Who's back?
I got told it can drive, and it drives, so,
So was that all warranty work through Austin?
yeah, we didn't pay anything.
I'd like to see it not vibrate at all, because
Which,
it's gonna be hard on your transmission.
yeah, and I mean, there's those type ones, they always have a vibration just from the box and the chassis not being together, because there's a gap between there, like our type 3s, they're together, so it moves as a unit. So you'll have, I don't wanna say vibration, movement would probably be a better term, because you can have the box going one way and the chassis going the other, so you get that.
Are you receiving vibration?
Not in the steering wheel, not in the pedals, all of that's gone. So I think what we're dealing with now is just a tire issue from probably where it was at. Everything that they gave back to us was green, like everything's good. So I think that truck needs tires, so after we address the tire issue at the first of the year, I can get you a better answer.
Okay.
I don't have $2,000 to spend on tires, well, I do now, I didn't. So once we replace those tires, I can probably get you a better answer on that. Because it feels more of it's isolated to a left rear vibration, if that makes sense. I think we're dealing with a tire issue now, because it's not the same vibration we were getting in the driveline.
Okay.
So I think this is like when we have tires start to cut, that's what we're getting. And I mean, there's 30,000 miles on these tires, so they're.
You care to keep us posted?
I answer to you guys, so whatever you want, I can get you.
Looks like the run volume's down about 10%.
Run volume is
That's a good
down.
thing. Revenue's up, run volume down. That's
We
good.
did drop a little bit. We were at 11% year to date, and we're down to 10.5 up. So I mean, we're still up. We dropped a 0.5% point on there, but I think it just has. I think part of that's dealing with where our pay dates are falling to date. You know, we might have had a sooner date because of the week or whatever, but our runs are down 9.6% as of today. So, any questions about financials?
Nope.
Money's up. That's
Money's
good.
up. So is a lot of our spending in the medical supply line item, but that's not. Some of it is our fault because we're using more stuff. Our protocols have gotten a little different, but a lot of it is just prices have doubled and tripled and quadrupled.
When your money goes up like that, it stays in your funds. It doesn't go into a general.
We have our own cash ledger, so we can't use it. Like it's not it's not like a revolving account where we get the money and we can use it. We still have to stay within our budget. I could get $1 million deposit tomorrow and I can't touch any of it. So
You have to go to council.
Yeah,
Well,
well,
you'd actually have to wait till the next
The-
budget cycle and it be appropriated
Yeah.
through
It's
budget.
revenue for next year.
Cause they go back, they look at your 18-month average and they try to project your revenue.
so it would affect if I, like, what the money that I'm making this year, part of it helped my budget this year. That's why they were able to take $700 and something thousand out of lit, because we did a lot better in the first 6 months than they did the
They
year
were more
before.
self-supporting in
Yep.
what we could see from 22. So they had the cash to move forward to 23 and then that helped pull off a lit.
And our cash ledger at the beginning of this year, when I came here, was like 60 or 90 something thousand, and now, last I looked, our cash register was like 398 or something, so I mean, we've put,
Back in the day, EMS would carry a $400,000 or $500,000 pretty consistent rollover from one year to the next, so that's why they were smooth. But then whenever that cushion goes away, then you have to look for other revenue streams, and most of the time that's tax dollars. Or you find the things where you're not billing and you subsidize that gap more through that process, which Nick
So that process
is working.
we're mending the gap, yes. Is it perfect? Absolutely not,
Well,
but it's gonna take some time to
it's
get there,
gonna
but
get
it's,
there.
yeah,
I
we're
just-
trending in the right direction.
I just ask you to be patient.
Me?
Yeah.
What am I not patient about?
That's a lot to
No, I
ask for.
said,
Oh, I ask you guys.
the first word that I told you when you came here is that just be patient.
I was.
It'll come, and yes, you have been. Better than I expected.
Well, remember that when we get to the second part of my thing here. We did touch base with Premier, on our fuel contract. Devonna did some digging, and I had her get a contract resubmitted for fuel. They hit me back with the same price. It was $285 plus the road tax stuff, which put me at like
Even though
$390.
our
And
price was going down.
however, our last fill up was at $218 plus road tax, so it put me at $260 was my total, is what I was paying. So I had her call back and go, why are you charging, like, what is it? Because, and they gave us the thing, well, it could go up. Yeah, well,
Well, yeah.
it could, but,
Get hit by a meteor too.
so I don't want to deal with them anymore. So I was wondering if you guys knew who I could, so the problem is they own the tanks.
Yeah.
We own the computer system, that's ours, but they own the tanks. I'm not super familiar with this process, and I'm sure you guys are. I'd like to know if you guys have anybody that we put a call out to Boo and Riley and somebody else. And then she called someone in Ohio by mistake, so we're not gonna get delivery from the people in Ohio, because that'd be a really high delivery charge. But there was another one that we called Jacoby.
Yes, that was
That's who?
Jackson Co-op. No, Jacoby.
Jacoby's who we called. So those are the three we've called. Nobody answered, so we left messages. But that might be something that I might come back asking for, of how to do that transition of, I don't know how it works, of how then, if we do switch.
First Premier, where are they at?
Premier is out of Jackson County as well, I believe.
I'm the curiosity is.
I think it's the co-op.
What have they done? If they're, I know we don't wanna keep them, but.
I feel like I'm getting.
Hosed.
I don't wanna miss.
We spend more
I
money.
feel like I'm getting gouged because we're a government entity that's going to pay.
You think we're
just to be
paying more
honest.
than we should be?
Yes.
Well, I mean, quite honestly,
If I'm paying $218 right now, why are you gonna charge me $209 or $310 for 18,000 guaranteed gallons? I mean, I feel like that's.
I get that. I
And
agree.
honestly, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I just said I agree.
And honestly, we can just keep going to pump.
Yeah, I mean, it's super inconvenient, but because the inconvenience factor is there quite a bit, because we have to pay a lot more than we pay now, because we don't have the reserve. And they won't, I know back in the day, I won't say they won't now because I haven't checked it, but back in the day, they wouldn't raise our limit any higher. So when we got to our limit, like we have to pay now because we can't get any more fuel.
So are you saying that you reached out to 2 or 3 other companies and never got a phone call back?
No, I didn't.
Okay. I'm familiar with 2 of these, so let me reach out to somebody and see if I can get an answer.
I would just like to see where everybody else's quotes are at.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
Yeah.
if they would have hit me at the 218 plus the road tax surcharge and put me at like 260, 265, I'd have begged you guys to sign it, because I'm comfortable with that, knowing if I spend every penny of what we allocate for gallons, I'm still under budget on fuel.
Have you checked with some of the counties around, are they all doing what we do, or
Everybody's
they do
different.
it to pump some?
To the west of us, they have tanks like we do.
You don't know who they use though?
I do. I called them, they didn't answer.
Okay.
I can tell you Clark County does their own, but they have
It's for
100,000 gallon
everybody,
tanks,
yeah.
yeah.
It's not, like department specific, it's as a county.
We did that years ago here.
Yeah.
I mean, as a
The
whole,
city still does it,
whenever you take a quote for fuel, it's always gonna be higher than what the pump is, because they wanna make money, they don't wanna.
I feel like
Very
70
rare.
cents is a lot though, a gallon.
It is, but it's very rare that, like, last time you done it, we come out ahead, because they didn't realize that.
It was gonna go to $5 a gallon.
Exactly, but.
And I get that there's a convenience factor and delivery charge and all that, but I feel like 70 cents a gallon on 20-something thousand gallons is a little rich.
And that's not to say that we can actually purchase our own
Right.
tanks.
Well, I would like to explore that option too, of seeing of, us just buying tanks. And then if we get in this, I'm not in contract, I can use you for 3 months, and then if your stuff goes up and Mike's cheaper, then I go with Mike and have you deliver. I mean,
Maybe Premier just sell you this one.
that would be convenient.
Yeah.
I'll put them on back,
All right,
roll back and take them to a gas station, fill them up.
So.
I'll check with two of those players that I
Okay.
have contacts with, so.
Second thing is, I know I brought it up last meeting, and after you consider your allocation of funds to Michelle, we are, obviously, you guys are well aware, you purchased 5 ambulances in a year.
Don't bring that up again.
Which the service needed a majority of those. However, doing that within the year that was 2 years ago. We're getting into the 3rd year since our last purchase, which is fine. We're not hurting now. The problem is, as you guys know, the amount of time it's going to get one of these units, we're looking a year out, minimum. I do have a couple options that are not a year out, that we're looking like 8 to 10 months out. But they're demo units and we can't do anything to them. How they are is how they are. And it's where they drive them around, show them off to a couple services, and then they're ours. They come to us with 8,000, 10,000 miles on them because they drive them around and demo them for a little bit. But usually you're getting a couple extras added on that you're not paying for because they're ordering them to show off. One of those units will be here tomorrow at 9 o'clock. I know I sent you guys a text that says if that way there's none of this, we're getting stuff we don't need, stuff that you can actually physically lay your eyes and hands on what I'm requesting that we get. But I think the one that would be here tomorrow, if we went with something like that, would be delivered in fall of next year because it's a demo. They have another demo that could be here in the winter of next year. That's a 2-wheel drive van. They have another demo that could be here in the fall of next year, but it's a 2-wheel drive diesel. And then anything else, we're looking at a summer to fall of 2024 delivery.
For the one you're bringing in tomorrow, it's a 4-wheel drive.
It is. It is a 2023 Ford F550 4x4 gas V8. I have schematics here, but the truck will be here tomorrow.
Yeah, you got wrote that.
Yep. It is the one for $306,599 plus power load, which would be another $27,000.
Power load being.
Stretcher part, yeah.
So if we're trading one, couldn't we just swap the power loads?
We wouldn't be the one that we would. So here's the other caveat to this. So I'm not a super bright person, but I feel like I'm somewhat educated. I got a quote on what it would be just to trade in our. Okay. I got a quote to see what they would give us for that 2016 we've got. $8,000. I'm not getting rid of that for $8,000.
No.
Sorry. I'm not even. I would fight you guys tooth and nail for that one. That truck's worth way more than $8,000. So here's my thought. And this is what I'm going to propose to you guys in the council. We need to buy another truck, like soon, so we get in this fallout of getting a truck here. After that, that gives us 6 trucks essentially, right? What we would do at that point, my idea would be, we've got that 2016. We can use it, but we can't use it as a frontline truck because a lot of the stuff that NHSTA and all of that stuff wants in the trucks is not there. I mean, it's a 6-year-old truck. It's just not going to be in there. My thought would be, instead of remounting and spending another $180,000 remounting one of those brand new trucks already, send that up north for like a $80,000 upfit, getting that truck to where it can be frontline ready, and we've got 2 trucks for the cost of 1.5. And then we can start our remount process. But we can't start our remount process until we have an extra truck. Because if we start our remount process now, it downs me a truck for 2 years, and I can't not have a backup truck. Because as soon as we're down a truck, we're down a truck. So that is.
So your thought is to look at one of these demos and then refit the
Christmas list, buy one of these demos that we can have by the end of next year, right? Because then next year I can send that 2016 back to Braun, let them upfit it, because I mean the upholstery and stuff is all, it's beat to heck. It's 8 years old. It's well used, and the box is actually a 2007, so they won't remount that box anymore because it's already been remounted through its life. But they will put makeup on it. Like they'll put the COVID filters in it, they'll put the UV lights in it, they'll do all that stuff, but they will not take it off that chassis and put it on another one. So I can't remount that box. But if we can send that off to Braun to get and upfit the stuff that we need in it, send it for a fraction of the price, we're not buying a new truck. We're reconditioning something we already have. And then that way we can start this where our vet truck's the highest mileage one we have. That way in 2024, or the end of next year, we'll come back for a remount instead of a truck purchase.
So are the mechanics on the 2016 good?
It's a 6.6 diesel. It's the old van chassis diesels. There's 120,000 miles on it.
That's a diesel.
It's a diesel, and that's already had a new transmission put in it about 15,000 miles ago. So I would.
So it might have some life left.
I would be comfortable running it for another year or 2 for sure. We would just have to spend that 80 grand on it, but $80,000 to $100,000 to upfit that to get it current. But that's significantly cheaper than you're buying any truck for right now. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's a good compromise between the money people and the department head of trying to. I don't want to come in here and ask for 2 brand new trucks because we don't need it when I can upfit that one.
How many total drives do you have your ambulances?
1.
Currently 1. What year is it?
2021. So I've got 2 Type 3s, which are the van chassis, but the boxes are fused together, and I've got 2 Type 1s, which are the truck chassis, and the box are separated.
What V8 is those?
This is the Ford 7.3 V8. I would rather not buy those V10s because those motors are atrocious for these type of workload. We've had them in the past and all of them have blown. I think they stopped making those Tritons, honestly. They still offer them for the drive lines that they had in them. Do they? I'm not a fan of them, but your miles may vary.
I think the biggest deal on them is that they're not meant to be carried around.
Right. I'm sure they're stout in the capacity they're meant for, but I don't feel like they're meant for this capacity.
Thomas has got one that's got over 300,000 miles on it.
So
that if you got it, like,
we stole it.
It ain't going.
But I would like you guys, if this is something you're willing to consider, is come look at that truck tomorrow if you have the opportunity, because that way you know what you're getting, or potentially getting.
Right out there at your office?
Yes, sir. He's going to swing by our department.
9 a.m.
Yes, sir. But I think if this is something we can jump on, because I mean, you're going to have people diving at these demos just because of the availability. If someone can pick one up, they're going to do it instead of wait till 2024.
So the one he's bringing out here is this 550, or
Yes.
a sister to it is?
It's a sister to that one, yes, sir. Because this one, the one he's bringing us is one the department already brought, and they're demoing it just like it would happen to us if we bought that one. They're gonna come drive it to a couple services, show it off, let people order off that and move on.
So the sooner you get it ordered, the better. Cause
So-
you're out to get it.
This one you'll be.
This one we could get by the end of the year, but they only have one, so it's
Into this year, into
No,
next
end of
year,
next year, sorry,
yeah.
the end of next year, because it's in factory production now. But as soon as that one's spoken for, there's not another one behind it. So it's kind of one of those, get it while you can get it.
Soon as you can, yeah.
Yeah.
Alright,
So I didn't know, like I said, just something to consider, because if this is something we can jump on at the first of the year, I think it'd be a good idea.
well, again, your plan may get us back in some sort of rotation where we're not buying 4 or 5 ambulances in 1 year, so.
That's the idea is, like I said, if we can get a new truck delivered and upfit the one, you can take the following year off to do a remount, and then then the following year buy a truck, and then the following year take it off, and then the following year remount. You'll get back into a cycle of buying and remounting back and forth.
Yeah.
But it's just, we're at that point, that 3-year period of where we bought those trucks. We gotta start looking at replacing them, or you're gonna be in that same boat next year, buying 5 new trucks, and that was not fun.
Well, one question I would have, and I think I've already asked you, is are we trying to work one harder than the other one so that we're kinda running the miles up on one and we're kinda saving one?
So I keep one truck that is in rotation all the time, and that's the one that I wanna replace first, or remount first, my idea would be upfit the old one, that one that we're running right now. By the time we'd get there, would probably be at about 150,000 miles and be ready for a remount.
Okay.
The other ones, we're doing a rotation where they go in cycle for a month, and then they come out for a month, and they go in for a month, so that's what we're doing.
And you may have addressed this already, where were you wanting to pay for that out of?
You tell me.
Okay, that's
I'm
what you
open to
didn't,
options.
you didn't have a specific place.
I think some of that, what's the term? Non-restricted, unrestricted opioid money would be nice to look at. I hate coming in here asking for ARPA, because everybody else has asked for it.
And get turned down.
Yeah.
Not from us.
Yeah, that's
Do
right.
we know how much unrestricted we actually received? I know they had
We
We
estimated.
don't have a plan.
It's 111.
Okay, alright. I
So
know
that'll
we had
get me-
estimated amounts before to this, but.
A third of the truck. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what the options are there. I know the money, like I said, the money we made this year, I can't touch till
Right.
24, so it's one of those.
I guess in years past.
Open to options.
In years past and excluding grants and all that other stuff, were the ambulances bought just out of their budget money?
They were budgeted.
They were budgeted
On,
remounts.
and remounts mostly, that's what I recall most of the time.
So, cause
But not a new one.
so we were always, all of this new stuff, I don't say always, most of the time when we bought a new vehicle, it was paid for out of something else. Usually every other year, they were allocating remounts in our budget, because that's how they ended up.
And
We did do it
that's in
one
my
year,
head is $150,000, they would,
which isn't.
every other year put in a budget for
Well, I also
remount,
remember that remount money was used to kind of,
would run the third truck.
Yeah, so
That's
because
why
they
I
didn't
thought
use it that year. So, it was kind of budgeted in, which, like I said, I would, if that was in my budget now, I'd be afraid to move it. As much stuff that got moved out of lit this year. I mean, like I said, they hit me for $750,000 taking that out at once. I'm scared for next year. So, but I'm open to ideas of where we could.
so
I
we're
know.
talking in the neighborhood of $310,000.
330.
Oh, power load, okay, yeah.
Yep.
Alright. Well, you know, the council's the ones that finds all the money.
Yeah, they love me.
They love us too.
Yeah. I mean, you may have to ask them what color they want it to be.
It's gonna be white. But the one that you'll see tomorrow is
They
red,
don't
so
like white.
please understand the one that's coming tomorrow is bright red. We will not be ordering bright red, it'll be white. But the one they order is bright red. Okay,
Alright,
So if we can think about that and maybe revisit it after the first of the year, that would be ideal, after you guys have seen it. Last,
I'm afraid I will not be able to be there, I'm sorry.
I wanted to at least give you the opportunity to, that way there wasn't the, I'm just buying whatever I want and asking for dumb stuff. So I just wanted that opportunity to be there.
So the dumb question, be delivered fall of 2/23, you mean that'd be 24, don't you? Or
No,
23, you're
no,
right.
yep,
But does that,
because it's a demo,
does that be a brand new one, I assume? Yeah, okay.
but it would have, 7,000 to 10,000 miles on it, because they would
the demo.
what they're doing to us tomorrow, they would do to that truck.
Yeah, it's broke in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. Last thing is, I know I talked about it last week. I think it's the last pages in your packet. The one, you guys all have this breakdown of, looks like this, except it's colored. Randy asked me to see what we were spending, and that's in there. So if you're wondering what that is, that's all that is. But the last two pages are our section of, how do I verb this? EMS's own section of the Scott County Employee Handbook, because we have
You have an appendix.
yes. So the one thing I was asking for, and I've talked to Tammy about it, and it's not, can you help me here?
Yes.
It's not a salary issue, because it would not be it would actually be decreasing people's salary.
It would not have a negative impact on his budget for personal services.
That would be putting an amendment or addendum,
We would actually ask for that
appendix to be
rewritten or to include,
the verbiage about a Kelly Day on their long week.
and this, are you referencing this specifically for their PTO time? And it has separate from the holiday schedule, correct?
Correct.
So you wanna maintain your current holiday?
Everything will stay the same, except right now it says that they have to use their PTO or their holiday to take a day off.
And then also it becomes a discipline action too, because if someone calls up and says, I just really don't feel like work today, and it's this, their long week, their 72-hour week, and they run you short and you're scrambling to find somebody to cover, that could end up being a disciplinary problem.
Correct.
So if there's not, then that, but yet the person would still work 48 hours and still be in 8 hours overtime that week.
Mm-hmm. So what it does is it benefits us, because the idea is a full-time employee can take off a day on their long week without using their PTO. Because right now it says that there has to be, for them to take a day off, it has to be approved for them to take a day off and not use PTO time by myself and this board, is what it says right now. The thing is, we don't earn an exorbitant amount of PTO to begin with. We earn the 4.6 hours every pay period. So it's taking over a month to earn a day off, for my crews to earn a day off.
Because their days are 24 hours. So that's like 3.
So I'd like to consider for you guys to consider me to be able to get with Zach or, what are those people?
Wagner, Sheila.
Them, to approach them about rewriting this to have them able to take one day off on their Kelly, or on their long week, as long as it is filled by a part-time person, for them to not be punished to take a day off.
So is the Kelly Day a paid day?
No.
So in our scenario, because that's not necessarily defined, like Kelly Days were created in the 1930s prior to the adoption of the FLSA.
Correct.
So
you can name it a Maggie Day, whatever you know what I mean, but yeah.
As an option.
It would be a unpaid day off, but they don't have to use their PTO or holiday time.
so if it's in a long week, and of course, they're getting so much hours overtime, they take that Kelly Day, does it take their holiday or their overtime pay?
Do what?
Say if
It
you,
cuts their overtime down.
And that's what I'm saying, it goes-
It does cut OT time down, and
okay, that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
it can result in a benefit to, like, both sides to a certain degree.
Because the employee gets the day off and he doesn't pay overtime for that 24-hour period.
I'm paying flat rate instead of overtime rate.
I will say
For
to
the
do
part-time
it,
person.
if you want, if to do it if doing it requires a change to an appendix to the employee handbook, even if it's an addendum that's specific to you guys, you gotta have council approve it too.
It's a deal.
That's fine,
So
gotta start somewhere.
what's it cost us? Is there a cost?
No, it would,
I think it actually is
Benefits
intended
us.
as an ultimate savings.
But it's on their long week,
so
which is
their
mostly
Monday,
overtime.
their Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday is their long week, okay? They work 24 Sunday, 24 Wednesday, 24 Saturday. What they could do is take that Sunday, that Wednesday, or that Saturday off, but they don't have to use their PTO, so that's saving us money. And then I fill my spot with a part-time employee, and they get paid flat rate at $20 an hour instead of me getting paid at 30. So I'm saving
Okay.
$240 that day because they're not paying me that additional $10 a
That
time.
was meant to be a deterrent for somebody to short the staffing on a long week after they maybe had a rough week. And that was a deterrent, because they would have to use their PTO to fill the gap in their 70-hour pay. But what it caused is them to have to pay straight time for 24 hours and overtime for 24 hours.
Yes.
So what if your part-time person,
Would go into overtime, they can't fill it with that person.
okay,
They are required for finding their appropriate coverage, or they cannot take the day. Because right now, their vacation or PTO or holiday has to be submitted a minimum of 14
So
days in
the
advance.
onus and the rule that you're suggesting would be on the employee
Correct,
to obtain
correct coverage,
correct coverage to fill
their
what
spot,
you would have to.
a non-overtime person.
correct.
Okay.
It doesn't create a scheduling issue for us, because if you don't come to me with the person, then you're either disciplined or you don't take the day off.
Okay.
Is other agencies using this system?
It's pretty common in firefighter.
This 2448 or 2424, like the 4896s, it's pretty common in that.
In those types of rotations.
I mean, if it benefits you guys and it doesn't cost us any more money, then
It should save you money.
I'd say
It can't
I'd
hurt.
be in agreement.
So what I told Nick you would want to do, is come up with the policy, get Wagner, Irwin, and Shealy to help pin this policy and bring it back to commissioners and have them approve it and then pass it to
And
council.
then pass it to council.
I just wanna have
No, it's all right with it.
I just wanna have the graces from you guys to approach those people.
Because that
I'm fine
costs,
with that.
Good with me.
that costs. So
Broken.
You brought this up last time.
Yep, I just never kinda got a,
you need to
Response.
contact them, because
Use your
there's only
charming
certain people that
personality to
contact us.
get this done.
thanks.
Alright, sounds good.
See you, bud.
Anything else?
Can you send me like a reminder email?
That says,
Call.
Contact Wagner or Irwin.
sure, yeah,
Thanks, sir.
thank you, appreciate you guys.
Alright. Okra.
Only about an hour behind.
Yeah.
How is everybody?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm doing okay.
Y'all ready for Christmas?
Getting there. Oh, another one. Awesome.
That's
Thank
the
you.
one that needs-
All your shopping done?
Yes, but not all the wrapping.
So how much you gonna charge me to do our shopping?
Oh, fun times. Okay, so, the first thing I'm here for, it is the Okra, right?
Yes.
Okay, so as you remember, you awarded 39 small businesses with grants last year
Yeah.
through COVID-19 funding through Okra. As part of that agreement with Okra, you promised that you would submit 2 follow-up reports, one this year and one next, for the job retention of each of those small businesses. Lisa and Tammy's office has been reaching out to the small businesses, and as of right now, we only have 20 out of 39, and it's due by December 31st. I'm assuming you will want me to have Lisa continue to reach out as much as she can, but there's gonna be a point where we just have to take what we've got. What I did do is reach out to Okra and say, hey, what if we just can't get a response from some of these? And she said to go ahead and add up the reports that I had, and what ultimately you have to report is that at least 51% of the jobs retained were low to moderate income. I don't think there'll be a problem with the ones you've received thus far doing that. So I'm just kind of making you aware. And Mike, I'll be sending you an email asking you if you're okay with the report, and that way I can include that email with the,
So you're
What I send out.
thinking that 50% or 51% they'd be happy with?
yeah, I mean, I think,
With the
I think
response.
they would rather see a majority of
Yeah.
your businesses submit, I think they, to be in compliance, all
Yeah.
39 should. I mean, Okra could technically tell you, you can't apply for another one of our grants until you're in compliance. That's what
I
they
get
could
it.
ultimately do, but what they did tell me is, and I do have it in an email, is, okay, report to us what you have by this point, and perhaps I can submit an amended report if the auditor's office continues to try to reach out and get all of those reports from those businesses,
So in
so.
other words, if she has some responses by next
Yes.
Tuesday,
Mhm.
whatever, that we can.
Yes. Mhm.
Something, just to go ahead and let you know.
Yep.
So we can just keep adding to the
Mhm.
report.
Yep, I'd say Tuesday's gonna be our day, cause unfortunately my last day to work this year is Wednesday, so, of next week, so,
Is that the 31st?
no. But River Hills lets me take time off. And I don't have a babysitter, so there's that. So that's just kind of an update on that, and Mike, I will be sending you an email, just again, okay, the report I'm gonna send up, and that way I can include your email, your response with that. Secondly, the LAIR application, so as you know, the last 2 years, the county has received land, or lake and river enhancement funds from DNR. I think we've received upwards of around 130,000 in grant funds from them. It's an 80-20, so 80% grant funds, 20% match. Half of that 20% match can be in kind. Last year, just to refamiliarize you, Jackson County participated in half of your local match requirement because some of those log jams were on their side.
So it was half of a half.
Yeah, it was half of a half. So, the auditor's office has worked hard with the contractor, and of course, Everett Henley has worked hard with the contractor to try to get them to produce enough work. And I know it's very weather dependent, so they've done what they could do with what they've had. So they've removed enough and spent enough down where DNR tells us, yes, you can go ahead and submit another application next year. So Everett said there has been a newly found log jam. It's on the Jennings County side, as I understand it. So Jennings County and Scott County line.
Bottoms.
It's down there by, not too far from, Bogart's.
Peacock.
Yes.
Peacock bottom.
Yeah. Yeah, so Porva and I went to the council this morning, and they went ahead and approved. So the request would be $30,000 for the grant, which means you'd have to commit $7,500 in local match as part of that grant application. The council approved that. Tammy, did we have, and that was my fault because I did not have them sign it.
And I saw Linda here a while ago, and I was gonna have her sign as vice. I will get somebody to sign
Okay,
this.
that's
You're the
fine.
one that needs to be
Yeah.
signed, should they approve.
Yeah.
Is that this one?
Yes, and that's the one that I need to take back to council and get signed there.
Yeah. So there's that part of it as far as the grant application. It's due January 15th. Aporva will be the lead on that. She would have been here, but I told her there is no sense in us both being here. I live
You're
here,
there,
so, yeah. So, we're asking you to approve, the submittal of that grant application. Once it's ready, Mike, we will need your signature on that once that's, prepared. So I'll go ahead and have you make a motion on that first.
I'll entertain a motion to sign this request for the Scott County Drainage Board for a grant for $30,000, with us probably paying them somewhere in the $7,500 range.
I'll make that motion.
John makes a motion, Randy.
Second.
Randy seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous, so I can sign this one.
Yes, please, and then I'll take that back, and then I'll get
Yeah.
either Rachel or
And Deborah.
Lindy to sign that.
And I will tell you, Everett is reaching out to Jennings County. I don't believe, and neither does DNR believe, that they have a drainage board. But he's gonna try to reach out to the commissioners or someone up there as a point of contact to see if they're interested in participating in part of your local match. But we needed that commitment to submit the application, so
Yeah, I get it.
he's gonna try to do that. The same project, River Hills, normally has you agree to a contract for us to prepare the grant application, which is $1,500. So I have that contract. That also went before council today, and Everett is well aware of it. If you would like to
So-
consider that for approval.
So that is for you guys to administer the the grant application?
That is for us to prepare the grant application and submit it. So to kind of build upon that, that's a good question. I was gonna mention, we've put, we, River Hills, have put a lot more time in this layer application, especially this past year. And, quite honestly, $1,500 isn't, that's good for the grant application. So if you're awarded that, we will come back with an administration contract for that. It's not going to be outlandish. I would think it'd probably be maybe around 5 to administer, but we have put a lot of hours into that. And hopefully this is gonna be an ongoing grant that you can continue to apply for. And we have asked DNR if they would participate in administration fees. I think that answer is gonna be no, but we have asked that. So there's potential for them to maybe pay for that when that comes. But anyway, that'll come later. Not $5. Right. But today it's $1,500 to prepare the application, so.
I'll entertain a motion to pay or enter into contract with River Hills for $1,500 for them to do the grant.
Go ahead.
I'll second that one.
John, you
Yeah,
make the motion. John makes a motion, Randy seconds it, and I'll make that unanimous, so.
All right, and Mike, there are 2 copies here for you to sign, and then I'll hand it over to Tammy. And another thing I wanted to mention, and it's not on the agenda, but I just want to make you aware of it. When we were going through that HIV epidemic, we received funds from Okra. I'm sure Michelle probably remembers. IU Health. We have historically had some issues with IU Health wanting to respond to our request to provide us with beneficiary information. Nick had that trouble when he was over the grant, and you have to report, I believe, through 2026 on that grant. I am still having trouble reaching someone. So, and it's not for the lack of trying.
Their department person has changed several times.
Yes, and I'm reaching out to like 3 or 4 people.
Okay.
And I'm doing read receipts and all that. I know they're getting it, and I've called. Yeah, it's
Give
so.
me, and I'll get with.
I'll get with
I'll
you.
get one of the physicians, and she can give me the insight.
But I will do that if we are in desperation. But what I did ask Okra, and Michelle may know a little more about this too, when I was reading some of the information about the grant, it looked like LifeSpring kind of took over that service. Okay, so that's what it indicated. So I called Okra and I said, hey, we cannot get a hold of the subrecipient IU Health. If LifeSpring is still offering those services and can provide us with beneficiary information, are you okay with that? They told me they were. So I need to reach out to LifeSpring. What I will tell you too, the last 2 reports have not been submitted because IU Health has not gotten back with us. So I also asked Adam Michelle with Okra, do you want us to submit past reports or just the 12/31/22? He said, just submit the 12/31/22 in January. So,
Is that the email that I forwarded you?
no, that was that was about these COVID reports. So I'm just making you all aware. That too could be a compliance issue, but if we can get numbers from LifeSpring, that's great. If I can't from them, then I'll go Michelle's route and
So
try to
you're
get with
saying
her.
the people that are administering the grants are not,
Well, not administering, that would have been
Well,
us,
but I
but
mean,
yes, the ones who actually
fulfilling-
received the money and was
fulfilling.
providing the services are not responding. So, and I know it was a trouble Nick had too, it's just, yeah, so
they want the money, but
hopefully,
they don't wanna do the
right, so
report.
hopefully we'll have some luck with LifeSpring. I'll keep you all posted, but I just wanted to make you aware of
Okay.
that, so.
Jessica, did you get Mike to sign that letter? Is there a letter that you needed?
Oh, yes, I do need a justification letter, which essentially I think your motion that you made is fine. It's a justification letter for these COVID-19 reports to go up. There was a miscommunication and there was a vast email that went out about these reports, and so now they're allowing us to submit them by December 31st. So this is your justification letter to go along with that report. So
Okay.
I filled you with a lot of information. Does anybody have any questions?
No, don't
No?
think so.
Okay.
I don't. Randy? Nope. John?
No,
Alright, and
appreciate what you've done.
thank you very much, thank you all so much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, John and Tammy, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it has been.
And, I'm just gonna scoot down and get her signature, but you all,
Alright.
thank you and Merry Christmas.
Have a good Christmas.
Your
Alrighty.
autograph, you're famous.
Mike, I just wanna add, Melissa really works hard for Scott County.
Thank
She
you.
really does.
I
They'll
appreciate
be,
it.
they'll be, she's wrapping presents, so you probably got one.
And with that, I go to Lions Club, so here, cold weather's coming in, so you might want a red hot. There's a can of it, you can have it. I
From
go
the
to
best.
Lions
You're a
Club.
good man, Steve Martin. Thanks, sir.
All right, Lake and River Enhancement Grant Application.
Already went
Is that what you?
You're
All
good,
that.
check that off.
Group Health Dental Vision Plan for 2023. How do we want to handle this?
What are we supposed to do here? I thought-
Well, we're gonna have to vote on
Is
what,
that already talked about earlier? Yeah.
So,
well, that's, guess we can say that our health insurance provider has requested us to seek a different insurance carrier, and I'll let you finish the rest of that.
And I wanna tell you something, if you don't mind,
Yeah, go
before,
ahead.
what's in the packet, so it makes sense whenever he starts talking. This black and white copy is what we're currently paying under United Healthcare. All right, the next copy that you see that's got the payroll benefits manager, Trina's name at the very corner, that is what is proposed should this
Okay.
consideration come through. Those are your comparisons from what the uptick will be, okay? There is a letter that is several pages down in that packet that has to do with all the insurance. Go past the blue and white sheets, and you will see a commitment letter, yes. And if you will notice, that percentage has been lowered from the 9.9 or whatever that they had anticipated, because if you elect to go out as a whole package, that means the
Insurance, dental,
the dental, that's vision and dental together, the dental insurance.
the rate.
Yes, that, so those are things that he'll address, but I just wanted to explain what those things were in there.
Okay.
So, I think everyone should have this breakdown.
Yeah.
So, I think this one might be the easiest, for us to understand, but, so you can see, the estimated annual costs, that are included in each of those lines. So you'll see at the top, the UHC, right? That's the current provider. The two first columns are what we are currently paying. The green columns, the next two columns, are what the renewal application after submitting all of our information, that's what our current provider came back with, okay?
34% increase.
Yes. So you'll see that the total increase was $642,005. So obviously when our agents became aware of that kind of dramatic increase, which we're used to annual increases in the single digits, they did reach out to a number of other providers to supply potential competitive bids for, I don't want to call it a bid, but competitive packages. You'll see on the far right-hand column, the two columns, that would be from Cigna Pro, so that was one of the groups that was reached out to. They did come back at an increase, and as Tammy said, you know, they estimated it at a 9.9, but assuming that you packaged vision and dental within that percentage increase actually drops a little bit.
Says 8.5.
So that's
So-
right. So that if you can continue with UHC,
You could.
But why?
8.5.
and it's not beneficial
What'd you say,
to everybody, I don't think,
What'd you say?
we're getting actually another, they were excited, at Freeman, Will and Niemeyer, our broker, they were very excited to come back with the 8.
The 8.5,
Yeah.
right, cause that's a little closer even to what we've seen in
That's
previous
normal
years, and
increases, yeah.
actually 2022 to 2023 renewals, I think the percentage increases are just up on average anyways. But you'll also see in the far right-hand side, there's marked declined in red. So those are the other groups that were reached out to. Basically, they declined to propose competitive packages. So at this point, it's up to you all to decide which of these packages to go with. You'll be able to see the breakdowns of the benefit summaries from, current to renewal with UHC to Cigna. Now, I think that there was a specific question that was asked about a disruption report and whether or not
Somebody's in the hallway at the radio.
whether or not the Cigna, if you decide to go with Cigna, whether that would impact individual healthcare provider. So like if I'm an employee here, am I gonna be able to go to the same doctor, right? Cigna has indicated that they're unable to provide that specific of a disruption report. What they can say is that for every employee and every zip code that is employed at Scott County, there is a doctor, specialist, or a hospital within the plan within a 10 to 20 mile radius. So I know that that's not exactly what you requested.
Yeah. I just wanted to make sure people weren't gonna have to go doctor shopping or facility shopping, that they would be able to stay within there.
And that's the hope, like in circumstances, but they're just not able to give you the assurance of that, I think, at every level.
Well, I'd say with the costs, if we stay with United Healthcare, it's an increase of $642,000. If we go to Cigna, it's an increase of $184,800.
It's actually a little bit less than 184,000.
Yeah, because the 8.5. So
yeah, and that's assuming that you went vision and dental with Cigna.
I think that's a no-brainer in my opinion. But
and if you compare the black and white sheets to the one marked training, in the corner that's blue and white, you'll see that the integrity of the employee contributions was maintained. So we are going to have the same percentages. So whatever premium increases there will be, whichever plan you go with, it'll be shared at that percentage. So the county will pay 90% on the PPO. And you've got to also notice the deductibles too. I wanted to bring that up too. Federal law has changed the deductible
From 2,800 to 3,000.
to 3,000. So you'll see that change on here. But otherwise, I think everything's
Fairly consistent.
Yeah.
so what would be the increases to the employees?
So if you are on the higher end plan, the PPO with a lower deductible, where you pay co-pays for prescriptions and doctor's visits or specialty clinic visits, it's a 10% cost of the employees. Their per pay contribution would be $36.93 in 22, and their per pay would be $40.87 in 23. So we're talking a $4 change.
Wow.
Per pay, that's times 26.
Yeah.
Or 27, if you have that rated here,
They're
but
getting
anyway,
rich.
yes. So that's what you're talking about, for the higher end plan for a
So,
single
I
employee.
like it to be back in the single digits, cause, before, sometimes we can't give somebody a raise, but we turn around and we eat the insurance junk. But But anyway, it's still, in this day and age with insurance, still a better deal than what the other part is.
And I asked the question, and it was very direct to, one of the representatives at Freeman, Will and Niemeyer. And I said, how are we, as far as the benefit that we give to our employees and the percentages that we as the county employer absorb of the premium? And she said, there's just really no comparison, that this is a good benefit to your employees because most employers do not absorb that percentage of the premium. And so we have an excellent benefit package when it comes to group health and vision and dental.
Okay.
And I just wanna be clear in terms of the process to get to where we are today, for anybody that's watching. This was not like a situation where, we received the renewal estimate and went to one supplier. It was looked at from multiple, trusted suppliers. They're listed on there, and they declined to provide a package. So these are the options after that we have available. So if anybody questions, the price or whether you did the things that you needed to do to protect your employees and the taxpayer, I think the answer is yes.
Yeah. So does anybody got any questions? Don?
Nope.
Randy? I'll entertain a motion to accept the new, insurance, going away from United Healthcare and going to Cigna.
Yeah.
And that would include the vision and dental.
And the vision and dental, I think. So do you agree with that? Randy makes a motion to, switch to Cigna from United Healthcare and also go along with the vision and dental coverage as well with the same company. John?
I'll second that.
John seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous. So,
Michael,
do
you
I have to
please
sign this
that
one?
letter. Yes. And I will scan that and send that to them in the morning.
And actually, I will say this, because talking with the health company, they're gonna still try to enroll people before the end of the year, I believe.
You mean,
The
for
one,
instance,
new people.
incoming
Yeah.
elected officials or,
I'm to provide, I've got that to do
Or
on my
changes.
desk,
yeah.
because we also.
And we wanna do the best we can there. Obviously, they can continue to enroll,
Yeah.
I think, up to January 31st, but we didn't wanna have that downtime at the start of the month where, yes, you're covered, but you don't have the card and the proof, and it all has to, so we don't wanna.
I think
That list
BJ
on-
was gonna get with the incoming new people and anybody that has a change in, I guess, plan, whether they got married, divorced, had a child, or a child dropped off or something, so.
We'll get those.
All right, moving along, consideration of the regular monthly claims for the December of 2022.
All right, since we're kind of doing the crossover from one year to the next,
Is
you
this
guys,
it?
this was with the timing of everything where it wasn't the customary send out these. This particular batch right here we'll address first. This is my fall settlement. All right, so this is a total that is being distributed. It's a little over 7 million, almost 8 million.
This is,
This are the property and excise taxes that were my fall distributions that goes to the cities,
Okay.
all that. So that has been approved by the state. I have the green light on that, so you might wanna do these in batches. That would be
Okay.
the fall settlement.
so this is the fall settlement for 12/24/22 in the amount of $7,931,179. So do I hear a motion to?
Let me make sure what I'm voting on here. That's money that's running through us going to the other agencies?
That is property and excise tax collections that I have balanced and gotten approved by the state for disbursement. And that is just, she ran that docket separately. That's not, we only do this twice a year. The first settlement I think I had was what, 14 million something, then I reconciled about $21 million between the two collections. That's just what's going to the schools, the
Yeah.
townships,
Okay,
that
gotcha.
is the tax collection.
Regional sewer district, looks like City Hall, Treasurer's
Well,
office.
and those are liens, yeah.
I'll make the motion.
John makes a motion, Randy.
I second that.
Randy seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous, so.
And just, yeah, pass those around and get.
So the second one here is.
Okay, that one, let me see, Mike, Mandy tried to explain this to me. Okay, these are my ACHs for fall settlement. You wanna just amend that, John, and add that to it, that's the automatic. We have to send, some people get them like direct deposit, and other people, those are checks.
What do you want done?
She wants to amend your motion to include this one here
Oh,
too.
yeah,
Fall
okay.
settlements.
Yeah,
And this amount is $1,368,400, I'm sorry, $1,368,400, I'm gonna say it again. $1,368,941.80. So we're gonna include that in the First
Yeah,
Amendment.
just so approve the fall settlement.
slow me down again now. What is this one here?
Okay, that's part of my fall settlement. Manny just had them separated between
Same
what's
thing?
automatic
Same thing.
deposits and
All right.
what's checks.
Okay,
Yes.
I'll make an amendment if that's what you need.
Yeah.
Yes.
To
Okay.
accept this one.
To add
Sorry,
this.
I didn't realize
John
that they
made an
were like that.
amendment to his original motion
I messed up.
to accept the other fall settlement, Randy.
I second that.
Randy seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous. So there's two of them. You need to sign that one,
Yep.
Randy, you need to sign this one. All right, what's this big one up here?
Okay, these are the end of the year claims. And since Reverend Gwaltney is here, I want to explain this one because this one right here would require John as redevelopment commission president to sign this claim.
There's 4
Yeah.
boxes, is that you?
Yes, that's me to attest. Yes, thank you.
Sign right here.
Yes, please. And then that'll complete that and I'll take this sticky off. Okay,
So what was it?
all right.
This is the year-end claim?
Yes, year-end claims.
You want that left?
Yes, please, leave that open. Because since he's here, I wanted to make sure that he could address any questions you all had. The contract, he submitted, information to me this week, and they had submitted, 3 other invoices that I was actually waiting, thinking we might have a redevelopment meeting, in between, so I could just kind of get their recommendation to pay. But that obviously did not happen, so he went ahead, he and I have been communicating, he and Pam and I, and, he went ahead and they were able to, due to getting ready to, I'm assuming, kick everything off and open your doors and have your.
Yes, I want to thank this commission for the help that you've given us, because, actually, in the first of the year, this process started for licensure. And it's been a heavy pace. When you're working to get licensed for a facility like we're gonna run, there's an awful lot of red tape involved. But the good news is that your help with it enabled us to get the right people in place who have done the high level of training that needs to be done to serve the children. So I checked again today with Indianapolis with an agent who is the supervisor for licensing, and also another agent who's been assigned to us to assist us in finishing up the process. And both of them concurred that as of tomorrow, there's a final training, and that training would have been done about 2 weeks ago, but the people doing the training, I think, some of them got the flu, and they couldn't make it on the day that they were scheduled to come. So tomorrow, that will be the last training that the staff and personnel will have to fulfill the requirements that are in place by DCS in Indianapolis. So the agent from the licensing department let me know that after they finish that tomorrow and they send the documentation in, the process will start for the issuing of our license. And that's the serious thing that we've been looking forward to. The other thing was that the agent also, both agents let me know that all of the per diem process has already been documented and everything's in those departments, and that they will start that probably next week. But immediately the documentation will be finalized and the contract will be coming to the Refuge for Children for the per diem to be established. So the good news is, I say thank you. If you hadn't participated with us, we would not be where we are. But all of that training was accomplished because you helped the Refuge for Children. And
So did they
it's
tell you
finishing
how?
up and should be finished by the 30th of December.
So when's your opening date, do you think?
We will be operational in January. I think that we will start receiving children in January, but no later than February.
Okay.
So how long was you said they would start the licensing portion of that. How long did they tell you that would take?
When they send in that report tomorrow, at the end of the day, that they completed that, it's only just a matter of days. It's just the issuing of the license. So they anticipate that probably it's gonna happen before the end of the year.
Okay.
And I have balanced with them and their request, through the redevelopment fund, and their entire amount left to allocate to them after you guys had approved several payments down through the course of the year, it's $46,000. Part of the requirement with the contract, which is attached in here too, everything with this final payout invoice, I have a copy of the contract, I have a copy of their report that's attached, and then their final invoice, which is a balance of $10,000 for the completion of the contract. So I just wanted to call attention to that, and then I'm glad you came tonight. I didn't know you were gonna come actually tonight, then, which is fine, so that helped with this one, because once you look through this list, if you had questions as to why they were $9,000 and now they jumped to 46, it's because there's several $9,000 invoices and a $10,000 final payout, okay?
So is there any to be
check 'em.
encumbered for next year? Or
They're paid out.
We're paid
If
out.
this gets approved tonight, there's
This
no
will pay out the
carryover, it's all
contract
done.
we have.
It's all done.
So
You should,
the original $100,000 has been paid out.
with this, if this payment gets approved and then it's done.
Okay.
Okay, so, I just, you
And these are
peruse
all
those lists.
just additional claims.
Those are standard things that we pay an urgence, like your bills. There is a
Go through
almost
every one
$10,000 check in there that goes to Scott's Hardware on behalf of Johnson Fire Department because of the redevelopment. Again, they want to spend it down at Scott's on some equipment, so.
Okay.
Did Ecotech get paid off?
Today, council, to update you on that, the council went ahead and approved that first $36,000 batch of claims. The others will carry it over to next year so they can figure out what to do with the last 2 months of this year for Ecotech.
So we've received the invoices from Ecotech for the rest of the year?
But the claims that you approved at the last meeting
Was the only things that they,
Were the 3 months.
on them.
We still owe them how much?
what we've received, we've got 2 bills that we've received that have not been paid. We have 2, there was 5 total, and then 3 were approved by you at the last meeting, and then ultimately approved by council to move forward with and go ahead and clear those out. And then the 2 that remains, they'll be addressed next year.
Well, I got a question there, cause if I'm not mistaken, the 3 we had, I think there were 3, seemed like they were in July and August. Well, we would have had September, October, November, December.
I don't know that we've received the November bill yet.
Okay.
I know it's towards the end of the month, but I don't think
So
it's
you're
set to
thinking
be.
we only have September, October's bill?
That's all I have right now. I
Okay.
just have September and October's bill.
Alright.
Yeah.
I'll entertain a motion to accept the year-end, claims. And I don't even, is there a,
There, look on, it's
is it
probably,
right here, is it the 3 or is it the,
let me see here,
that one?
250, right here, 255.
All right.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll make,
In the amount of $255,148.50.
I'll make a motion.
John makes a motion, Randy?
Second.
Randy seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous, so. Alright, let's, alright, I guess I'm gonna ask for, says here, circuit court cell phone stipend for $50.
Okay, I'm gonna explain this one to you. As you have probably already heard, the council did not appropriate any money in any budget in 2023 to pay the monthly $50 cell phone stipend to those that had been budgeted, not by policy. And I guess if there's a policy written, they'll consider the funding, if there's ever a policy written to reinstate that. So
what they're
We
saying is, we
advertise.
never had a policy, but somebody just decided to pay it one time.
Real
And-
quick, we're done with the Reverend, all right? Raster?
you're good, they approved
No,
it.
I was just waiting, John, maybe for a time to say, if any of you have not toured, I believe you've toured the,
Quite a while back, yeah, yeah.
I would invite you to come, please. And, if you'll let me know, we'll make it a private tour for you. If you wanna get there before the children get there, you better hurry up, okay?
All right, thank you.
Thank you, now, appreciate it.
Thank you.
You made a good thing happen, man.
All right, appreciate it.
You did it. You did it.
So what had happened, when Mandy was contacted by, circuit court, she said, she was asked if there were cell phone stipend monies in place for 2023, and Mandy responded no. So then the judge instructed Mandy that he wanted the $50 advertised, and then payment of the claim could or could not be denied, and then after that, he would take it from there. So I'm just bringing it to him because this was advertised as a claim to be paid. There is no money, so I don't know, if there's no funding in place for it, I don't know how we approve a
This
claim,
is for
but,
next year? Cause there's
Because-
money being placed for this year, wouldn't it?
well, it's,
It looks like January of 2023, the telephone reimbursement, but, so what you're saying is we have a person that this phone stipend is good till the end of the year, through the month of December.
and those have
January-
already been paid.
January,
Yeah,
and
they're
they've all
paid.
been paid up to the end of the year.
Okay.
We have a person has filed a claim to get his $50
For January.
for January's,
For next year.
Which by the time he goes through council,
well, there's no money there, cause they pulled all the money out
I mean,
of
how
the
to
phone
visit council.
stipend.
So,
What I was
think
trying
he
to
was
sort
looking for
out-
the process to take place.
I see that.
What I was trying to sort out is does he think he's getting paid for December and January late?
I get what you're
No.
saying, cause the
Yeah.
invoice date's 12/14, he should have been paid for that already, cause that's the end of the year.
I mean, the
So,
way
he doesn't have his January bill yet, cause January's not here yet.
the way I understand it, he's asking us for $50 for January, so he can turn around and go to council for the same request. He's going through us first.
I think what he's doing is, he's making a precedent that he's gonna say he wants the $50, and then he's gonna come back to us and say, you need to either make a, I guess, a policy, or that would then tell the council they need to fund it, or we don't make a policy.
So whether we pass it or don't pass it, there's no money there available for the council to, they've just not put any money in for it. He would have to ask for an additional.
So if you all deny the claim due to lack of funding to pay for that, then I think due process will happen, and then he can go to council and ask for an appropriation or request a policy
But if we
and
did,
request, I mean, I do believe he wanted this brought to your all's attention. So that's why this claim is held out separate from the others, because obviously, if this is paid the first week of January, then out of the 23's money, there's no money there to pay.
alright, what if we don't pass to approve this?
If you table it, that's your choice.
But what if we just say, we disapprove of this claim?
You can determine whether to deny the claim at this time or table it if you feel that.
Ask him to come
Or,
visit.
I will say, you can approve the claim despite the fact that there's no money. You could approve the claim and then it goes to council to determine whether or not they would.
Fund it. My whole thing here is that phone stipends are paid till the end of the year. He's asking for a reimbursement of a bill that he hasn't even got yet.
You wanna table it till January?
It's your decision.
What's your pleasure?
I mean, I think by the time it gets through council and everything else, it'll be January, so.
Well, it's gonna be, cause they're
So
done.
I'm fine with it, go ahead and, to me, I'd like to just make a motion to go ahead and pass it.
Well, I'll go along with it.
Well,
And they can do what they want.
I'm gonna say no, cause I think he's asking for something in the future to create a, kinda like what the council did to us, where they took the transfer station off line item to make us do something. I think this is the same kinda thing, is that he's throwing a, reimbursement for a January, for a bill that he hadn't even got yet, or for, you know, a check that he would have received the stipend, and so I
believe he can mandate himself.
I don't think so.
That's a funding question, not necessarily.
If we're gonna cut out the phones, or if the council's gonna cut them out, and I don't know.
Hold on, what's that?
That's, mandate deals with funding, so yes, he can, I would believe, relative to court services.
Well, if he needs $50, I'll get in my pocket and give him 50.
I get paid that
Yeah,
way.
that's-
I lost mine too.
That's different than claims approval, but
Yeah.
in effect, the answer is yes.
And I'm doing as he requested, just submitting the claim, and if it's denied, he said that would be fine, but he said he thinks that's the proper procedure, so I'm doing as he requested,
that,
follow
but
the procedure.
But I'm having a problem with him asking for a reimbursement for January of 2023 for something that hasn't happened yet. So what do you guys wanna do?
I'll make a motion to pass it.
I'd second that.
John makes a motion to pass this $50 for a telephone reimbursement for January of 2023, and Randy?
I second.
Randy seconds that, and I'm gonna say no. Because it's like services hadn't been rendered yet, but you're asking for the money already, so. So anyway, moving on. Consideration of December 16th payroll docs. Everybody had an opportunity to look at payroll.
Yeah, I'm good for it.
I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to pass payroll.
John makes a motion to pass the payroll for December the 16th. Randy?
Second.
Randy seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous. Consideration of the minutes for the regular meeting for November the 16th. Everybody had an opportunity to look at your email and see them? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to pass.
John makes a motion to pass the minutes for the regular meeting on November the 16th. Randy? Randy seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous. There's an FMLA request.
I think there's just one.
While we're doing that, attorney, you got any comments?
Just very quickly, so because we do have, new elected officials who will be, taking office, and council commissioners, different offices within the courthouse, Jason Simler, who is our contact at Baker Tilly, has reached out, basically to try and schedule a, meeting in early January. He's indicated he's free the first week of January those days. I'm not sure when the new council intends to hold their meetings, or if that's already been decided or not, or what that is. But what I would suggest, is, and after talking with Jason, that we attempt to try and hold kind of a joint year opening meeting, with Baker Tilly in attendance to discuss, kind of the long-term, financial, I'm trying to think of the word that they used for the packet that they gave us, the financial plan, it's a comprehensive
Plan.
the comprehensive plan, you know, ARPA, Probably at this point, opioid abatement and unrestricted fund potentially. But any and all of those things, I think, we've also had some requests recently, I don't think it was the last meeting, it was maybe the meeting before, from the judge's office, the prosecutor's office, the public defender's office regarding, potential ideas for a, redo of some of the county offices. I think that if we wanted to have that conversation, you know, that's something that Baker Tilly needs to be a part of. This is more just a scheduling thing, really, obviously no decision or anything on anything, but just trying to get a meeting date lined up first week of January where we can have council members, elected officials, new elected officials, old elected officials, whatever, attend for a joint, I wouldn't call it special, I guess, but just.
You don't want it on the regular, cause the fourth is our normal meeting.
That's what I'm saying, is like, you're gonna have so much stuff to go over in that joint meeting that I don't think having it set for like a normal commissioners meeting or a normal, and obviously you want all of the different bodies to be able to participate and understand kind of where we're at, where we might be going, and what some of the plans are. I think that that's something we need to, and if you could just, I don't necessarily know how to schedule that with the new elected officials, like for council, but I wanna try and give Jason some dates, in the month of December or before Christmas, hopefully, but where he would know, okay, I'm coming to Scott County on January 5th.
And Zach, I don't know if you know this or not, but our auditor-elect is in attendance.
Yeah.
So probably after the first of the year, I mean, I'm not for sure when council, because there's 4 new members coming on there. I don't know their personal schedules or anything, what their meeting schedule gonna look like.
And
That
maybe it's not
second
possible
Tuesday
the
of the
first
month
week.
may not work.
I think it can be, I mean.
You think it'll work?
I think it can be, I mean, if you tell them to be here, they're gonna be here.
That's what I think.
So,
Okay. Well,
I'm good with the 5th, that's a Thursday, are you good with that?
I'm good with it.
okay,
So-
then I'll just send back, a note to Jason that we'd like to do it on the 5th and try and get notice to as many people as we can before then, for that meeting. The only other thing I have.
And that's an open door meeting, correct?
Open meeting.
Yeah,
Yep,
okay.
Anybody can come,
Alright,
watch, record, attend.
screen that.
And with with the holiday, just make sure the posting goes up, because with New Year's and the
Yeah,
break we're
that's
having,
true.
you gotta watch the day when you post it. So it may, I don't know if I need to post it before, if it can be coordinated, maybe you reach out to
I
Jason
wonder
and
if
we
we just
can.
go ahead and post for the 5th, assuming, I mean, Jason said basically that whole week is free,
In the time,
So
because
go
with
ahead and
New Year's
post.
and everything, it
The
might mess
special.
up the meeting.
and then,
Five
because Sunday, January 1st is a Sunday,
The 2nd, we're
the
off,
2nd is
we're closed.
an off day, and sometimes those are considered observed days under state law, so that leaves the 3rd and the 4th.
Which it could be
scheduled for the
posted the
5th.
3rd, it could be posted the 3rd, as long as it's not by the
Yes,
40, yes, it could be posted January 3rd.
yes, as long as, yeah.
It's either gonna need to
Could
be posted December the
but it have
30th
to
or the
get
3rd.
posted, like, if you're gonna have the meeting at like
At
5
10,
o'clock.
it has to be posted
Yeah,
before.
it needs to be posted on the 3rd before 5 o'clock.
So December the 30th or January the 3rd are
Yeah.
our only 2 posting options as
Okay.
far as like latest as.
So it'll be Thursday, the 5th at 5 o'clock.
Yes.
We'll send a message to Lindy and she can get a hold of our people and
Yeah, that's
tell them to
fine.
be there.
You know, cause I think the other thing is, you know, there were some questions, again, and I'm not saying policy wise what any of these different groups would decide, but, you know, questions about bonding or use of those types of funds for specific things. I think those are all things that Baker Tilly and potentially, you know, not Cross Brown Todd, it's Ice Mill have some heads up about. So, with that said, I don't have anything else other than thank you all for the year. Obviously, my contract is up as of January 31st, so.
You're not going anywhere, are you?
Well, assuming that you have me back, I would just resubmit the contract first week of January.
I'd be for that.
Are you gonna raise your rates on us?
Same contract.
You're getting the same work.
We ain't working too hard this year then, I guess.
Well, again, I'm gonna, as me personally, I wanna thank you as our council, cause you've enlightened us on probably some stuff that is up to date, some new stuff, and me personally, I don't think you gave us any bad information or steered us in the wrong direction yet, so I appreciate it as me personally on this board. And also, I mean, I know you kind of sent me or came in this meeting one time and said, well, I had to charge you a little bit more this month because of this. That's never happened in the past, but I appreciate that. So that's my quirk, so.
I'll second that. Done a good
You've done a
job.
great job for us.
Did we vote on that yet?
No, I'm getting ready to. I just jumped ahead while we were signing and looking.
Matter of fact, I'm gonna give you my red hots.
Because he's a diabetic, that's the only reason. I'm gonna entertain a motion to, approve this request for leave.
I'll make that motion.
John makes a motion, Randy.
I second that.
Randy seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous, so. All right, John, you got anything else?
No, sir.
Randy, you got anything else?
No.
Tammy, you got anything else?
Well, this may be, I think, my last meeting with you.
Well, you can come back.
I can come back, yeah. I'll
Come
be
back.
sitting out there.
Yeah, I'd like to say we've had a good 4 years.
I think,
I haven't got no beefs or complaints. I'm happy to have a part of it.
And I appreciate my time here at the county, it's almost 19 years. So I'm not leaving an elected a post exactly, I'm leaving, a lot of years, other years dedicated and behind, and it's been my pleasure to, number one, serve the citizens, and I feel like you've been able to always find me. If you had to get a hold of me, I think I've been at my post. So that was one thing I think I've left as a track record. And it's gonna be very different, but it'll be good.
You've done great.
well, again, talking for me, is you've, every time I've asked something, you've always got it for me, and it's always been, lickety split, so I appreciate me being the 6 years I've been here. I appreciate everything you've done for me. I mean, I came in green as green can get, and sometimes you tell me, well, you can do that, sometimes you'd say you can't do that. But again, I appreciate everything you've done for me personally, so.
Well, I'll say that, if you ever wanna learn anything about this business in the county, you need to be in the auditor's office. That's where it all goes, and that's where, I guarantee you, I've spent 90% of my time in this county in that office, so.
I
You'll
will
get it too.
add from my perspective, I mean, you had an attorney who was county attorney for 25 years, and before that
I'd say
was
40.
maybe longer. I've
Zero.
actually seen some letters that date back to the 70s.
Yeah,
So
it was 40 years.
yeah, so I apologize. 40 years, and before that, his law partner. Transitioning in for me was made much easier by the fact that you had Tammy here as an institutional person who could assist me, because again, this is a part-time position for me. I can't be here all the time, and having somebody who is there and understands everything so well, I think that everyone should be thankful for all the extra work that she puts in.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've learned over the years that, you know, you always sit back looking out into the courthouse and think, what's the most important office in there? And it's that one. I mean, everything goes through that office, except for Marty. Marty's office
Public
is most
records
important.
requests.
Well, she explained to me
balancing
the,
budgets, HR.
Yeah.
You know.
Everything touches that office, so.
that office and the clerk, like she said,
Oh, yeah.
everything goes through our office, goes through her, everything
Yeah.
goes through upstairs, goes through the
Of
clerk's
course,
office.
yeah, that's exactly right.
So
Well,
it's
I think you've done a really good job, and, I really appreciate your patience with me, and, you're gonna be missed,
Appreciate that.
and
It'll,
I'd like to add one more thing. I came up with a lot of stupid questions over the time, and your ability to keep a straight face when I come up with these questions is
you
incredible.
don't see me
Just
after you
absolutely.
leave.
That's pretty good.
I'm just teasing.
Yeah,
I'm
let's
just being
put it out
silly.
there. Let's put it out
Well, with that, John, I wanna give you a little token of appreciation for your service to the county. So here's a little plaque presented to John Lisby in appreciation many years of dedicated service, devotion, and commitment to the Scott County government 2022. So.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you. Very good.
Randy?
Gentlemen, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
And I know you've wore a lot of hats in this county. I mean, I think weren't you a councilman at one time?
Mm-hmm.
So you served as sheriff, councilman, and a commissioner, so not too many people can say that, so again, I'm gonna say to you the same thing. I mean, we didn't always agree, but I always, yeah. Well, one time you agreed with me, and I about fell out of my chair, but anyway, even though we didn't agree, I think we're always looking for what's best for Scott County.
We are. Yeah.
Sometimes somebody's got a different view of how to get there, so, but I don't think anybody was malicious of trying to do something that, you know, was underhanded one way or the other. I think we're all here to try to serve, and, I don't think I've ever placed a vote in this room that says that I'm voting because I'm a Republican, I'm voting because I'm a commissioner, so, and I think you did the same, and again, I think you know, we don't always agree, but we were partners at the end of the day, so.
Absolutely.
So I touch on that too, just to say, you know, you run for office or something, you know, I'm pretty sure most of us here can say the same thing, because you're passionate about trying to help your county. And, sometimes that passion can
boil over.
It's an emotion, and it can boil over, and, you know, whatever, you know, and God knows, me and my wife don't agree most of the time either, but that doesn't mean I don't.
Let me write that
You still do what she tells you, don't you?
I still do what she tells me.
Yes.
But, I do appreciate the dedicated service you've given to Scott County. I was a reserve underneath you, and, you've always been a fair person, and, I respect it.
I did, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry, John.
No,
I'll add
yeah.
to this too, cause I have a couple of ones that I designate as my frequent flyers. And Raymond Jones is one of them, and so is John Lisby. And so I can pretty much count on a Friday visit from both those gentlemen. And lots of chocolate and lots of things discussed, and we've solved a lot of things that never really got solved once we left that office. But, it's been my pleasure working with John. I was in the auditor's office when you were sheriff. Wasn't even chief deputy then or anything, but, about 19 years ago, whenever I was sitting in the cartographer's office, cutting my teeth on property parcels and splits and all that type of stuff, the gal I worked with over there and I would contemplate what would be the best offices to ever hold in the county, and auditor wasn't one of them. And neither was the clerk.
Yeah.
So those are the two offices that I said, those are two we'd never run for, and 10 years later I was auditor. So
There you
never
go.
say never. And so who knows what you'll come back as. So you've been a lot of things already, so you may rise like a phoenix and come out as something else. But I think one thing we can all agree on, that at times it's worrisome, at times it's taxing, at times you can't cut the county off when you're at home. because it's always there. And when you are elected, it's 24/7, 365 for whatever terms you signed up for, and, your term. And it's just really, there's nothing like it, and, I think it'll be an adjustment. I call it decompress. I think we'll have to decompress a little bit whenever I leave here, because I think it's a very, very multitasking, wearing a lot of hats. You can be in one area 1 minute, and 2 seconds later you're on the phone and you're in a totally different area. So, sometimes I literally had to say, hang on just a minute, let me switch hats. So my mind had to get, the gears had to change in my mind. So, I wish Ms. Hamelman lots of luck and success, because it's a vital organ. I call it the heart. It is the vital organ of the county.
It is.
Because if that auditor's office isn't pumping, there's no blood flow anywhere else. So, well wishes to you, and, I would make sure there's a bottle of Tylenol on your desk every day with lots of pills in it. So, yes, don't let it ever go empty. So, but anyway.
Well, I will say this job in 4 years is every day it's been learning new information.
Oh, it's awesome.
You've been here a little longer, you're in that.
6.
There ain't a day goes by that
It changes too.
in all my career, I've been told ways to do things, and you do it, then you run across somebody that says, that ain't the way it's done. And so you have to reverse course real quick, because I think our government is fluid. It's not stagnant, it's changing constantly.
Yeah.
So it's a constant trying to figure out information, what's going on in the county and keeping up with it. And I'm telling you, in a little county like Scott, it's hard to keep up with it.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Well,
So if you gotta keep working at it.
well, the thing about it is, and I'll just say this, and I had that argument on Facebook today with somebody, is that, they were talking about how commissioners pad their pockets and are corrupt. And I'm like, give me a statement of what you're talking about. You can throw a 3-letter word out there, but you can't back it up with what you're saying. But people, and I told him, I said, the only reason I'm here is to serve the taxpayer. And people don't understand that. I think Randy probably is the only one that's got a job outside of here. I'm retired now. John's, I don't know what you're retired or you're
Retired.
So you take on these jobs. I don't know what you're doing, but anyway, it is a full-time, part-time job. People don't understand that, this one girl, and I'll just say it. She goes, well, you're just there to pad your pocket. I said, I make $19,600 a year. And she comes back with another thing saying, well, gee, you're not very humble because I make more than you do. And I'm like, okay. But it's a part-time job. People don't understand that. And it is.
But it is full-time.
But it is a full-time position. And in some counties, and I'll say a friend of mine over in Washington County, he has been a commissioner for 6 years, well, actually almost 12 now. But 8 o'clock is inside the courthouse, and he's there every day, 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, and he's a part-time employee. So people don't realize the commitment that you take in this particular job, and it is part-time. I mean, so anyway, John, I thank you for your service. Thank you for being a commissioner, and I hope good things happen to you in the future. So thank you.
And I'm gonna quit talking after I say this. My dad was
so.
I won't quit talking, period. I just meant at the meeting. That's
Sure.
Yeah, I know, I always get they always pick at me. But I've been talking since I was 8 months old, and I haven't shut up since, so. Anyway, my dad was commissioner for 14 and a half years, and someone asked him in his last meeting, they said, Carl, how long, got anything to say? And he said, well, this has been an experience, and he said, I think it'll probably take me a full 24 to 36 hours to get over it. And it might take me a little bit longer, but it might be close.
Well, like I said, people don't understand that when you put your name on a ballot and put yourself out there. I mean, I don't think anybody's doing it for the money, so, and if they are, shame on them, but,
You have to be pretty hard at it.
well, but anyway, I appreciate both of you and the other councilmen that are, you know, some of them didn't, well, actually, all four of
seats
them,
were
all
taken.
4 of them didn't, you know, run again, but, you know, I appreciate their service as well. And we all live in the same community and we'll all still get along at the end of the meeting, so. If nobody's got anything else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the 2022, the last meeting of the year, so.
I'll make that motion.
John made a motion, Randy?
Second, yeah.
Randy seconds, I'll make that unanimous. And John, it's only 7:30, it's not.
I know, that's a record.